Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the Watchalong for the Hungarian Grand Prix of 2025. I don't know why I said it that way around. I just did. How are we all doing out there today? Hope you're having a good Sunday, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. I hope it's been a good one thus far. Very much, as always, cliche line almost. Looking forward to this one. Hopefully, as somebody said in chat a moment ago, better, Jacob, hopefully better than last week, although probably not that hard. So hopefully it's going to be all right. I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's going to be a good one. But I think the grid is nice and mixed up. Crofty just threw a stat out there before I went live and made me go, oh, apparently today, I suppose still is, but would have been Jules Bianchi's 36th, I think he said, birthday. So Charles Leclerc on pole position. Even though I'm sat in a Mercedes shirt because I like their merch, there's only one way I want this race to go now that I've heard that stat, and that is a Charles Leclerc win. So there we go. There we go. It's, yeah. My Ferrari one's in the wash, Kevin. It's not dry, and I didn't want to be sat here going, with a sticky, horrible, wet shirt on me. So, yeah, that's why it's the Mercedes one today. Plus, it's cool merch. But, yeah, that's an interesting stat. So, hopefully a Leclerc win. But let's do some shout-outs in chat, and then I'll read through the grid. There has been some changes, or a change, which we'll get to in just a moment. So, hey to... I can't see who you are now because the poll is in the way. How absolutely rude. But hello, whoever you are. Hey to Michael, to Sema, to Brian, to Jacob, to Sighted Canvas, to Valentine, to Pascal, to Kevin, to Fud, to Louis, to Dal, to Wisdom, to Adrian again. I hope you're all having a good Sunday and ready for this one. Right. The grid. We'll do that first. Then we'll do strategy. Then we'll answer questions. Then we'll do predictions. Then it'll be about time to go racing, which I can't wait for. Martin Brunner currently doing his grid walk, so that could be interesting. The bots are here. They can get stuffed. Simple as that, because I can't be bothered today. I'll deal with it. It's fine. Right, so Charles Leclerc, pole position. As I said, surprise pole. I think we were all a little bit shocked by that yesterday. I think track conditions very much playing into his hands there and sort of working against McLaren. So who cares? He's on pole position. Oscar Piastri second and Lando Norris third. That is going to be a fun run down to turn one. George Russell in a rather underrated fourth place. I know there were some bigger stories and maybe it got lost in all that, but fourth place is still a very good lap there from George Russell to be right behind the McLarens. Fernando Alonso fifth and Lance Stroll sixth. I saw Autosport tweet this morning that Fernando Alonso had a bad back on Friday, and then on Saturday he carries the team on his back to take fifth place in qualifying. With all due respect, Lance Stroll was sixth, so I don't think he's quite carrying the team on that one, but you could argue generally he is, but certainly not this weekend. Lance Stroll is right up there with him. Gabriel bought anything for clicks, I suppose. Gabriel Bortoleto is seventh and Max Verstappen eighth. Liam Lawson in ninth and Isack Hadjar 10th. Kind of missed this yesterday despite running through the order. Lawson out qualifying Hadjar. Given how well Hadjar's done this season, that's a cracking effort as well. Ollie Bearman 11th, Lewis Hamilton, who described himself as useless and suggested Ferrari should change the driver. 12th place for him, 13th for Carlos Sainz, Franco Colapinto 14th, 15th for Kimi Antonelli, 16th Pierre, 17th Esteban Ocon, 18th Nico Hulkenberg, and 19th Alexander Albon was what I was trying to say, and then I started thinking of Alexis for some reason, but Alexander Albon. You'll have noticed one name missing. Yuki Tsunoda is starting from the pit lane. He has had a host of power unit changes and I believe brake cooling as well, so he's starting from the pit lane, having of course broken Parc Ferme rules. So he qualified 15th, 16th. You may as well, hadn't you, at this point of the season? Get a new engine in there, make the changes you need to, give him the car he needs, and crack on with it. So there we go. That's your grid. Strategy-wise, let's head on over to the big screen. Hey, sounds more exciting than it is, I can promise you. Two-stop is what Pirelli are predicting as the preferred strategy. We'll get stops around lap 16 for the hard tyre, having started on the mediums, then on lap 40 around there for another set of hards to the end. You can one-stop it if you can get your mediums 25 to 31 laps and then put the hards on to the end, although that seems unlikely given we have had a lot of rain overnight and this morning. I mean, the track is very green. It's essentially reset now, so two stops is highly likely because degradation and graining might be a factor. Three stops isn't on the list, but you can do a soft, medium, hard two-stopper or a soft, hard two-stopper. But Bernie Collins was saying stream, I guess, that she thinks it's more likely if you're going to put the soft on, you'd do a medium, hard, soft, and run the soft towards the end when the track is in better conditions. For tyres, pretty much as you'd expect, I think, really. Nearly everyone has a new... In fact, look, the Aston Martin used tyres will have done one lap on the hards. They'll have scrubbed them in, so... Everyone's got, realistically, a new set of hard tyres, but Leclerc, Hamilton, Verstappen, Russell, Antonelli, Gasly, and Colapinto have 2 sets, and everyone's got a set of the mediums again, apart from the Astons, but theirs will be more or less new. New softs for Tsunoda, Antonelli, and then those who didn't get any further in qualifying as well. So, interesting strategies to look for, but I think we are realistically going to be leaning more towards that 2-stopper. Like I say, green track today, that's only going to play into the hands of a 2-stop. So, and that's good. The more stops are better, the more variety, the more likely things are going to go wrong, the more fun we might have. So hopefully for McLaren's sake, they don't undercut their lead driver and give themselves a headache. Because I'll tell you something for nothing. As opposed to when I usually charge. But if what happened last year happens this year, Lando Norris is not letting Oscar Piastri through, and vice versa. So that could be a lot of fun, couldn't it? It could be a lot of fun indeed, but no. So I think we're in for a good race, good mixed-up grid, drivers to watch out for. I think we can say Tsunoda coming from the pit lane. He was only a 10th off Max Verstappen in qualifying yesterday, so he's got pace, or more pace this weekend than perhaps we've seen in the past or in recent races. So he's one to watch coming from the pit lane. Lewis Hamilton, we saw in Spa, 17th with it. It's a 7th, so he can come through the pack. One to watch from 12th place. There is also drivers like Antonelli you could throw in that mix as well. Hulkenberg has this tendency to start, on Mars and then finish somehow in the top 5, so it can happen. It's like this season. So yeah, I'm intrigued by this one, but I'm not buying into to this being a flat race. I think this is going to be a cracker, and I'm fully aware that I've probably just absolutely ruined that now. Absolutely ruined it. So yeah, I don't know. Questions about the race. Weather is one that's cropped up a couple of times, like headbutt or chin the microphone for some reason. But as far as I'm aware, 20% chance. We can check on the official FIA weather tracker, which is telling me I've reached the end of the event. There we go. It's all over. Who won? 0% chance at lights out, according to this. 20% chance as the race goes on. And then it stays 20% till about 7 o'clock tonight. So rain not expected any time soon. However, whilst this may not have the microclimate that Spa seems to have, it certainly does have, rain can certainly come out of nowhere. As I said yesterday in my really exceptional analysis of wet weather, rain is rain after all. So, yeah. I don't know who you're talking about. Sorry, I'm having a moment. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, blame Sean if it's a bad race. Always blame Sean for anything, everything's my fault. Everything's my fault. Yeah. I'm sort of a little bit, I'm struggling a bit today because I did a bit of reading before this on. I was quite taken, I'll get on to Lewis Hamilton actually, because I was quite, as you know from the stream yesterday, it sort of caught me off guard a bit when he said that he was useless, and I thought, oh God, that's bad. But then that was with Sky. Then he did an interview with Lawrence Sporetto in the pen, and he got quite. I can't think of the word. I don't want to say childish because that sounds like I'm attacking him, but I'm not. But just Lawrence Sporetto said, "Well, clearly that's not the case. You're not useless." And he was sort of like, "Well, I am," and started sort of swaying a bit and trying to almost wants to walk away, and he doesn't know what to say. And I thought it's just very strange. Yeah, maybe petty. Petty might be harsh as well. I don't mean it in a catty, nasty way or anything like that, as I'm sure you don't. But I just the way he sort of came back at that seemed not very Lewis Hamilton. Some would argue it sounds very like him, but I don't think it did. And I think Bernie Ecclestone, because anyone cares what he has to say now, I think he suggested he should step aside now. But it just, there is a feeling in me when I watch that interview that maybe he is thinking about next year and what he actually wants to do. But the trouble is, he may well get into this race starting 12th, end up top 5, be buzzing after the race after a great Grand Prix, and all of that gets forgotten. So I don't know if it was just and in the sort of you've got to remember these drivers are getting microphones shoved in their face pretty much as soon as they get out of the car. So you're getting an immediate raw reaction, which I like. We had this conversation yesterday. I'll not get into it again. But had they asked or spoken to Lewis Hamilton 2 hours later, would he have had a different response? So we have to just bear that in mind. So I don't know. I don't think he's going anywhere, but just that second interview I thought was more jarring to me than the Sky one, and that jarred me a little bit. So yeah, I hope. Again, it's very difficult to have conversations about Lewis Hamilton. I've got a British accent, which doesn't help, which means I'm instantly biased. But it's more the fact that nothing you say is ever seen as anything but being a bitch, basically. But I wasn't. It just took me back yesterday, so I don't really know what else to say on it. So let me know what you think. Again, I don't think he's going anywhere for next year. He's getting a lot of money at Ferrari. Ferrari are paying him a lot of money. They'll want him to stay for marketing, but also it may well be that next year's car really suits him. It's this era, isn't it? This 2022 ground effect era just has not suited him at all. It might be that next year with the new regulations it suits him more and he's back on form. But I've seen all the usual stuff on social media, and it depresses me because it's astonishing how quickly people forget how good a driver is. You know. And I'm not talking about winning titles. I'm talking about last Sunday when everyone was waxing lyrical about this Lewis Hamilton of old who had come from 17th on the grid to 7th. What a drive in those conditions. Incredible stuff. 6 days later, he's washed. He's a waste of space. He's never been any good. And I just don't understand how people have that mentality. But yeah, positives. Leclerc's on pole. And as Lewis Hamilton said, clearly nothing wrong with the car because it's on pole position. Officially, risk of rain, by the way, is 20%, as I said. So that would make sense because, yeah, that was where the FIA graphic said. Tommy, guys, does think Russell could drive the Ferrari? I touched on this yesterday. George Russell, I forgot to get the quote. I promised I was going to do it and I completely forgot. So, Kevin, you can give me a virtual punch in the face for forgetting. And only Kevin's allowed to punch me in the face virtually. You can all think about it, but he said something in the week about how the last few weeks and months haven't really been all that reassuring for him and Kimi Antonelli when it comes to his future. Long-term future, because obviously they were talking to Max Verstappen at Mercedes. There's still talk that Max will be there for 27. So what does that mean for Russell's future? What does it mean for Antonelli? Just as a kind of a hand grenade to throw out there for ahead of the summer, what if on that point that Tommy guy's making, Russell says, do you know what, I don't want to stay here. If you can't commit to me for the next X amount of years, which I think they will do, they'll get a couple of years out of them, but for the next X amount of years and you are shopping elsewhere, I'm going to go somewhere else. And if something opens up at Ferrari, maybe that's where he might end up. But again, back to the point I made yesterday, realistically everything stays as it is apart from the question marks over who sits in that second Alpine and what's going to happen in the Red Bull teams. Otherwise, it is what it is for next season, I'm afraid. So it was just an idea. It was just an idea. It's not... Essentially, if Lewis Hamilton was to turn around tomorrow and say, I'm done, I'm going to retire at the end of the year, which I don't think he will, but if he did, George Russell could be a good option now. I think Tommy's right on that one. So, yeah, that's it. Rocket Raccoon. Haters will hate. It's whatever, get on with it. But he's all right. I don't. It's... Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I'm just very much looking forward to... I'm just a little bit anxious today about this one for Leclerc up top. I'd like to see him win it. I'm also glad I didn't record my... or finish writing and recording my Leclerc video that's going out in the summer break before today, because otherwise that would have been... that would need updating quite quickly, wouldn't it? As Sky talked to Oscar Piastri. We've got about 11 minutes to lights out, so get your questions in. We'll do predictions in a few minutes once the music kicks in, and we'll go from there. If I'm a bit sort of all over the place today, apologies, but I've got... still got this bloody cold starting to kick in, which is annoying me. But also... just because I'll moan, and why not where you get your questions in. If you remember back to last year, our shower tray cracked and caused a massive leak, and we had all sorts of chaos in the house. Guy came to fix it, fucked it up, then came to repair it, fucked it up again, then came to repair it again, thought he'd fixed it, it's still leaking. So I found that this morning, so I'm in a bit of a foul mood with that. So just a little bit of an insight into my life there, and also a reminder why you don't hire cowboys to do a job because you'll end up paying twice the price to fix it. But anyway... I don't know. I see somebody mentioned Craig says that Hamilton is too old, and Farting Golf Ball says that Alonso is even older. Should he go too? How old is too old? I will tell you both how old too old is. It's me. No, I stand by what Martin Brundle says. If you are quick enough, you're old enough, and if you're quick enough, you're young enough. So that's it. End of. Because he was a cowboy, RC. That's why. There you go. Oh, exactly. Always leave it to the pros. I wouldn't do it. I've got some sealant in there. I might try and fix it. But anyway, that's one for... Well, probably my 2 weeks off now because I've got too much to do this week. But yeah, we'll see how we go. Lewis just needs a sports psychologist, says Colin. He can still drive. With the right help, he could be right at the sharp end again. We saw on Sunday he can drive. So you're right. I agree. But yeah. What can you say? We'll not get too into the Hamilton stuff. I just wanted to say that. I wanted to mention that interview because it did sort of... If his first one caught me off guard, that one really was quite jarring. So, Kaysman says Leclerc deserves a win. It would be nice to see him win today. Again, on Bianchi's birthday as well. If you don't know the relevance of that, Jules Bianchi was, or is, Charles Leclerc's godfather, isn't he? So, it would be quite a nice moment. Just for the romance of it all, it would just be just a really lovely moment. But also, if Fernando Alonso fancies a win, I'd be fine with that too. But I suspect we are looking at McLaren, with it being dry. If they get ahead of Leclerc, I think they'll likely disappear. But the track's going to be quite close to how it was yesterday, isn't it? In a lot of ways, and in sort of track temperature and that. It'll be more. It's greener, but it's still, we're around the same temperatures as it was yesterday for Q3, so that might bring Ferrari and Mercedes and Co back into play. That was the other stat. I forgot it. That was the other stat. Closest top 10 in F1 history yesterday, which is a very... We suspected it was going to be something along those lines, didn't we? Because it was insanely close. I mean, Lewis Hamilton qualified 12th, was 8 thousandths away from getting into Q3. So, and there was nothing between the leaders. We knew it was going to be something in there with closest ever or something along those lines, and there we go. Sticklebrick says, so do you still think Hamilton's announcement isn't going to be I'm retiring? I don't think so. I don't think he would turn around a week in advance and say tease a date, if you know what I mean. Sort of tease a date and say, oh, on the 8th and making an announcement, and then coming to this weekend and start talking about being useless. I don't think he'd do that. Although it reminds me of, do you remember Sebastian Vettel when he announced his retirement? Nobody really expected it. And then he joined social media and everyone went, oh my God, he's retiring. Before he'd announced anything, the minute he joined social media, we all just knew there was a retirement announcement coming. So maybe he'd do something similar to that. I don't know. Rocket Raccoon says, would you have LeBron competing at 40 at the highest level because he's taken excellent care of his body, and so is Lewis. It's the car. I usually agree with you on these things. I sort of more or less agree with you on that. But again, like Lewis Hamilton said, the car's on pole position. So a car he's struggling with, yes. But it's, yeah. Well, the car's in pole position, but then Max Verstappen has been doing a great job in that Red Bull, and a second driver struggle. So maybe he's got the Ferrari equivalent of whatever Yuki Tsunoda's having to cope with, if that follows. If you follow what I'm saying there, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just a car that doesn't suit him, or is... Oh, here we go. Here's the British... They're building the car around Charles Leclerc. That's what they're doing. You know it. That is not a serious comment. I promise you that. But yeah, the car's on pole position at the end of the day, so... Yeah, and he's not, and again, I don't want to give too much away in this video, but you'll know these stats. Charles Leclerc is not just because of this weekend, but if you look at the head-to-head between the drivers, Charles Leclerc is very much on top in that one. So, Rocket Raccoon then says, I guess I misspoke. I meant he's not meshing with the car. There you go. That's that. I assume that's what you meant, because you're usually more balanced on that front. It's what I'm trying to think. Thinking of the word, that'll do. More balanced on that front. But yeah, like I say, maybe just not gelling with the car. Perhaps not a surprise in some ways, do you think? I mean, the 7-time world champion, you could argue, should be able to adapt to the car, but brand new car, brand new team, completely different culture, different power unit. Maybe just it's taking him a bit of time to get to grips with it, but we are 14 race weekends into the season. Yeah. RC says, or he's washed. What does that mean, RC? If you weren't here yesterday, that mean nothing to you. Yeah, I thought it was Charles that said he was useless. That's why I said that's so wrong, but apparently not. So my mistake on that one. No worries, Adrian. Hey, Kaori. The music has kicked in. I'm going to turn the music on because I like to hear... Oh, yeah, that. I know what that was last. Well, I know what that was. I found out what that was. It was something to do with the movie. It was a movie soundtrack they were playing because... Yay. Let it go, lads. Who cares? That's not playing out like it's in my headphones. That's fine. Thank God. Yes, we are ready to go then. I'll run you through the grid in just a second. Get your predictions in. Top 3. What do you think it's going to be today? I'm going to go with... I'll stick with... I want to say Leclerc, but I'll stick with what I said yesterday. I'll stick with the... So predictions-wise, it's Piastri, Norris, Verstappen was what I said Thursday. But yesterday I said Piastri, Norris, Alonso, because Ferrari the strategy. So that's that. I'll stick with that. Why not? So get your top 3 in. I'm going to run through the grid as we get ready for the start of the race and do all my usual disclaimers and that. And then I'll come back and read your predictions, I promise. So as always, live timing is provided by the awesome folks over at... Multiviewer for F1. I knew I'd get there in the end. So thank you so much to those guys for providing the track map, the live data, and all of that so we could do these watch-alongs. No race footage, obviously, for what I believe are clear and obvious copyright reasons. It's not rocket science. So that's why there's no footage. But you'll get my lovely face, and I'll run you through the race as best I can with my terrible impression of Crofty. And... check out Multiview for F1. It's in the links in the description. Go and have a look. There's some great stuff over there. Lots of data if you're interested in that sort of thing. It's free to use the app, but you do need an F1 TV access subscription at least, which is £2.29 a month in the UK. So not too bad, actually. It was £2.29. I did double check. So it's a good price considering you get access to the whole archive as well. So I'm pretty happy to pay that. But the starting grid for today's Grand Prix, Yuki Tsunoda will be starting in the pit lane after taking new power unit components and new brake cooling as well, with Alex Albon lining up last on the grid in 19th. Nico Hulkenberg, what can he do from 18th? Probably second. That's the kind of form he's in at the moment. Esteban Ocon in 17th and Pierre Gasly in 16th, with Kimi Antonelli down there in 15th place. Another difficult start to the weekend for him. Franco Colapinto, 14. What's going to happen to him over the summer break? Probably nothing. Carlos Sainz in 13th with Lewis Hamilton, who again, if you're just tuning in, described himself yesterday as useless, in 12th place with Ollie Bearman in 11th. Isack Hadjar inside the top 10 again with Liam Lawson just out qualifying his teammate there in 9th place. Max Verstappen 8th, and there's a lot of people enjoying on social media, out qualified by a Sauber with Gabriel Bortoletto in 7th place. The two of the stars of qualifying yesterday, Lance Stroll in 6th and Fernando Alonso in 5th for Aston Martin. Great article from Matthew Summerfield, by the way, on the planetf1.com website. Go check that one out. George Russell in 4th and Lando Norris in 3rd place, and it's Oscar Piastri 2nd and Charles Leclerc in P1 on what would have been Jules Bianchi's birthday. Can he just give us something emotional? Let's have some emotion going to summer break and a little bit of a surprise as well. But that is your grid. What are your copyright? What's that exactly? Your predictions then. Let's run through them super quickly. Kaori says Oscar Piastri, Leclerc and Norris. Leclerc wins for FUD. Hey Nick, hope you're well, mate. Alonso for the win says Kevin. John Jones says Piastri, Norris and Russell. Tommy says Piastri, Norris and Leclerc. Anushka's gone Leclerc, Piastri and Norris. Maya has gone with Piastri, Russell and Leclerc. That sounds like a fun race, actually. Chuck Leclerc to get his win today. I'm not bothered for second and third decided canvas. Pascal says Leclerc, Piastri, Russell and Sauber points. Norris, Russell and Stroll says Louis. Peter's gone with Leclerc, Norris and Russell. Nick says Piastri, Norris and Leclerc. Pizza Man, Russell and Norris says Craig. Piastri, Norris, Alonso for Michael. Proudly South African predicting that Lewis will finish 4th today. That'll be a lot of fun. Next year is flat floors again, so who knows, Sally boy. Good point. B-Tech Crofty, let's go. Thank you, Marta. Hope you're well. Looking for some more predictions. Any more in there? Nico already gains a place thanks to Tsunoda. There we go. 1 down already. Anyone in P16 to P20 starting on the softs, try and gain 3 to 4 places early. Then also the undercut to a double hard strategy. We'll get into the tyres in just a second. RC says imagine a Stroll win. Sebastian says Leclerc in the podium. Alonso top 5. Bruh has gone with Leclerc, Russell and Alonso. RC says screw it. Stroll, Alonso, Leclerc, bloody hell. If Norris bottles this start, he will get swamped at turn 1 and then struggle for a few laps, says Mark. Piastri, Leclerc, Norris for Rocket, Raccoon. And pile up in turn 1, says Clansom. Hamilton will be top 6. That is quite realistic, says Hansi. And yes, we'll I don't know what that's about, Craig, but let me know. It could be quite interesting. But yes, we are ready to go. The formation lap back to get underway. And interestingly enough, on the tyres, as I hide everything I need to so I can see what I'm doing, we have got some soft runners. So Carlos Sainz in 13th is on the softs. Softs for Hulkenberg in 18th and softs for Albon in 19th. It's hard tyre for Hamilton and hard tyre for Gasly. Everybody else on the mediums, again, I would ignore that line through the Aston Martin tyres, which denotes that they are used because they have only done one reconnaissance lap, which is what they do to run a heat cycle through them. So that's how Aston Martin like to sort their tyres out. So we are going to formation lap again. Apologies if the track map is a little bit small. I did try and flip it, but because of the weird shape of the Hungaroring, whichever way I do it, the corner numbers are still small. So not a lot I can do about that. So I've left it in the official configuration. So at least the corner numbers are the right way up. But you can see the colour of the dots, and I'll keep you updated with what's going on. We've got the timing on the left as well there. So 70 laps today. Very much ready for this. It's dry at the moment. Let's see how we do. Soft tyres is bold at the start. I know that Pirelli have said that you can run the soft for sort of 8 to 14 laps at the start. But as Bernie Collins said, with that track being green today again, it would have made a bit more sense to maybe run them at the end of the stint. That said, who's to say that if someone's got 2 sets of softs, which, I mean, I just checked for Carlos Sainz, for example, he doesn't. Hulkenberg has 3 sets of softs, so Hulkenberg could run the soft, stick the hard on in the middle stint, and then still run the softs at the end. So maybe that's what they're thinking. But the 2-stopper is expected today. That is what they're thinking of. This is the 40th Formula One Hungarian Grand Prix. It was on the calendar same year as me. I wasn't on the calendar. I was born. I wasn't put on the calendar in 1986. That was the first race of the season. But yes. Make your window smaller. My window? I can't do anything today. I can't mess about with the overlay today, unfortunately. This is all set in stone. Dan sorts all this out for me, so I'd have to redo it. But it might be something... I might actually run that by him ahead of Zandvoort and just say for tracks where we've got these daft shaped circuits like this, maybe we can have a slightly smaller overlay for me in the pictures in the top left. Might be a good idea. So nothing I can do today, Clancer, but it's certainly something I can feed back, and it's an option for you. I'm trying to think if we might have a bit of a weird shaped track which causes us problems. Monza should be okay. Zandvoort should be okay. Tsunoda in the pits for his pit lane start, of course. So yeah. Stickerbrick says, Sean, you're but a whippersnapper still. Tell that to my back. Here we go then. Cars on the grid. The green flag flying at the back. Well, flying at the back. They hold it now, don't they, for some reason. So there you go. Taking a while to get the lights on here. 1 light, 2, 3, 4 lights, 5. We go in Hungary. What can Charles Leclerc do off the line? Oscar Piastri looks to have got a bit of a sluggish start versus his teammate, who is going to try and get up the inside into turn 1. They're trying to get the toe off Charles Leclerc. Norris is having a look to the inside of Oscar Piastri, and George Russell is round the outside of Norris. And actually, I think Norris is going to have a problem here with Fernando Alonso he's side by side with. In fact, Alonso is going to be ahead of Lando Norris, and George Russell threatening Oscar Piastri. Can Norris hang on around the outside? This is going to be close. He can't. He has fallen down to P5 as Lando Norris. Alonso up to 4th, and Charles Leclerc does lead by half a second over Oscar Piastri. George Russell with a cracking start. I thought Norris had got the better start of the 2 McLarens there, but it turns out with the not bottleneck into turn 1, but certainly the concertina, if you like, he got caught up in all of that and lost out positions and ends up down in 5th place. So those who predicted that he was going to bottle the start today, you could argue he's done it there, but I think actually off the line initially he looked to get a better start than Piastri, but not to be today. So it is a case of Leclerc leading Piastri from Russell, Alonso and Norris. Bortoletti up to 6th. Stroll down to 7th. Lawson 8th. Verstappen down to 9th. Bearman in 10th place. So Lawson ahead of Verstappen. Franco Colapinto's down to 18th. Gasly's down to 19th. So I'm going to make a prediction here before we see the replays of the start that there's been a moment down there between the 2 Alpines. Not the first time 2 Alpines have got close to each other at Hungary, of course. So I wonder if they've ended up off track or got a bit close to each other or something. I don't know. I'm just theorising there more than making a statement, really, but something to keep an eye on. If anyone knows, let me know. But a really bad start for both of the Alpines. Max Verstappen behind Lawson, like I say, so bad start for him. But Norris down to 5th. So he needs to hope, Lando Norris, that A, he can clear Alonso quickly, and B, it takes Piastri a little while to get past Leclerc, because otherwise, I suspect Piastri might disappear here, although Leclerc with a very quick first sector. Verstappen's just done a purple first sector. I love the first that one. It's just green, straight down the board there, and a purple for Verstappen. But yeah, pretty quick first sector for Leclerc. He has broken DRS. Just the one detection point here, which is just before the final corner. So one detection point, 2 zones, as Max Verstappen gets past Liam Lawson. I imagine that wasn't the toughest of overtakes. I'm joking. But he is past the Racing Bulls. I'm going to turn the poll off, by the way. 45% he went with Piastri for the win. So good stuff there. Leclerc 25, Norris 15, other 14. Thank you for your votes on that one. So yeah, could have been a positioning thing to stick or brick, actually. That's a good point. Like I say, seemed to get off the line well, but if he was wide someone was wide there at 13. At 12, sorry. I think they've got going again, and for some reason we've got some lag on the driver tracker, so apologies about that. Nothing I can do about any problems like that, unfortunately. If I could, I would. But yeah, there goes Norris. Passes Fernando Alonso. Piastri still behind Leclerc. Leclerc is a second clear at the moment, though, so that is good news for him. But now Norris has got to catch Russell and try and get through as well. Leclerc 122.8, 123.2 for Piastri, and a 23.8 for Russell. So Leclerc has got race pace in this early phase. The only thing I would say is, as we've seen this season and indeed a lot last season, McLaren do like to just look after their tyres early doors, don't they? So they might just be keeping a delta for around the pit stops. Tough to overtake here, but we'll see. And there goes Max Verstappen at the chicane, passing Lance Stroll. You don't often see moves into there. That was a good move from Verstappen there on Stroll. Moves himself into 7th place. So Verstappen's on the move. Certainly seems happier in the car right now than he was yesterday, but let's see what happens when he gets up against a car like a McLaren, if he ever gets there, or a Mercedes. It might be a different story, but yeah, good start. Good start. I want to see replay of the start. Specifically, I think it was Gasly wide at turn 12. Although it says here, there will be a lot of bots, by the way, because I did the ban amnesty the other week, so it's just constant bots at the moment. So I'll try and get to as quick as I can. But it says here, track limits at turn 1, lap 2 for Gasly. So that doesn't tell us why they're down there. But Alpine really struggling, aren't they? 14 seconds off the lead now, Yuki Tsunoda down in 20th place and right behind Pierre Gasly. So Bortoletto seems to have good pace. He's all over Fernando Alonso. But there goes Max Verstappen having a little look around the outside of turn 2. You won't get through there, Max. You remember Mick Schumacher and Max Verstappen side by side through there a few years ago? That was a fun fight, wasn't it? But yeah, Verstappen giving us the entertainment at the moment as he tries to pass Bortoletto. Will he go again in the chicane? So comes through turn 4. Tucks it in. He's not going to get close enough here unless he just sends it. I mean, Verstappen, nothing to lose, I suppose, at this stage of the season, has he? So, except for his nose cone, obviously. Nice job, Matt. Let's get through these ASAP. That's what GP said. GP is back this weekend, so good stuff. Apparently, Max reported balance was a lot better on the way to the grid, says John. I wonder if the greener track is helping them. Oh, bad news for Bortoletto. He's been noted for a false start. That'll be a should be a slam dunk. So I think Bortoletto's probably going to get a penalty here. It's been noted. It's not under investigation yet, so he might be okay. But generally speaking, a penalty follows. Not always. It depends whether the transponder triggered it or not. But I don't know if the rule changed around that one. But Bortoletto might be set for a penalty, which would be such a shame. Is that why he got ahead of Stroll off the line? Maybe 22.2, by the way, for Leclerc, half a second quicker than Oscar Piastri. So this is genuine pace from Leclerc. I'm just looking at the timing time now. I've just noticed Hamilton's down to 14th and Antonelli's up to 13th. So good start for Antonelli, bad start for Hamilton. Let's have a look then. So from the other angle, it looked like Norris had got a better start, but I think they all cut. Well, he sort of did, didn't he? And then didn't really know what to do with it. He didn't know what to do with his car. He didn't know who to tuck in behind, did he there? So that was not the best from Norris seemed unsure as to whether to tuck in behind his teammate or Leclerc for the slipstream, then had to battle Alonso all the way down to turn 2. Alonso got the position, but actually Russell did have a look at Piastri but didn't get anywhere near him in the end. It looked close on the first lap. Alonso very nearly actually with his exit getting past George Russell. Let's have a look at the onboard with Fernando. This will be fun. It's actually a little bit more even at the front than I thought it was. But yeah, Norris just didn't seem to know where to put his car there, so maybe there's a point there from, was it Sticklebrick who said that? And then Alonso, he sort of gets around the outside nicely of turn 1 on Lando Norris. He's got that position, not done, but he's more or less there. He's got the inside line for turn 2. And then if you're watching on board now, you'll see that he gets such a good... they've cut away anyway. He got such a good exit that he very, very nearly... Oh, bad news for Hulkenberg. Get to that in a second. Very, very nearly... had a go at George Russell into turn 3. Nico Hulkenberg has been noted for a false start as well. So what's happened down at Sauber? We've just watched the onboard of Hulkenberg. So both of them are now being noted for a false start. And looking for the Alpine replay, really. We're watching Alex Albon here with a bit of a swapper on through turn 2. He doesn't have a go at that Haas, does he? It's turn 4. No, he doesn't. Bortoletto. Oh, I tell you what, if he does move before the start signal, it's tight. That looked tighter than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be an obvious move. We haven't seen the Alpine replay, unfortunately, as to why they're down there. But hey-ho, Colapinto now behind Gasly. Hulkenberg, yeah, is noted as well. So he's in the pits. He's got rid of the softs after 5 laps. Now, just to remind you, Pirelli said 8 to 14 laps on those. So the soft tyre maybe not doing what he was hoping there. Hadjar says, my hand is screwed. I took all the gravel. So... I'm assuming that's when somebody's gone wide at 12 and kicked up the gravel and smacked him in the hand. Can you remember that happened to Grosjean a few years ago? Yeah, I was wondering that, Anushka, that Piastri might be saving tyres a bit. Like I say, they like to do that, McLaren, don't they, early doors in races, and then really floor it around the pit stops and then take the advantage there. But we'll see. Yeah, Grosjean a few times. Yeah, good point. Yeah. Interesting, but yeah. I mean, it could be tyre saving, Louis. I mean, you want about a 2.5 second gap for 2.5 to 3 second gap to be out your dirty air, don't you? So it might be, but I think Leclerc just has the pace. I mean, Piastri, that lap was only 2/10 slower. It's not like he's well off the pace, is it? So I think Leclerc just has better race pace than I was expecting. Hulkenberg, by the way, we're keeping on his times down there, but he and Bortoletto likely to get penalties here. Is it a French thing? It might be, Lee. Yeah. It's just a French. The gravel attacks them. It's a hate crime, really. It's disgusting. I don't know what to say. Sorry, I'm going to move on from that. But Norris with the fastest lap of the race, 22.1 at the moment. But interested to see what Fernando Alonso might do here in 5th place. He is dropping back now off Norris, which isn't a surprise, and he's got Bortoletto right behind him. But really, his battle will be Verstappen, Stroll at the moment, because I think Bortoletto will get a penalty. But no, he won't. Good news, Gabriel Bortoletto fans. I'm looking at you, Pascal. Incident involving car 5 review. No further investigation. False start. However, Nico Hulkenberg is officially under investigation. So I wonder, again, just suspicions. I wonder if they got the wrong Sauber in the first thing. But usually say correction, don't they, on the thing? So maybe they got the wrong Sauber, because they are investigating Hulkenberg, but they're not investigating Bortoletto. He's been cleared. Hulkenberg's just done the fastest lap of the race on a 1:21.9. So fresh tyres is pretty rapid. That's what I was just thinking, Fudge. Yeah, exactly that. This would be a great event to be at. So many cars are less than a second apart. I'd love to go to this one, Tommy. But also I said last week I'd like to go to Budapest as well, because apparently that's a very beautiful city. So I'd like to go and see that at some point. So maybe one day. Who knows? Who knows? If we can start getting some numbers on the channel, they might start sending me to races. You never know. Some competitors talk about a one-stop. Do you think a one-stop is possible? Piastri said the tyres feel okay for me. It's difficult to know with this many laps to go. I think that's a fair summary there. A bit early in the race to be declaring 1 or 2 stop, isn't it? But yeah, and in fact, the Hulkenberg pitted on what, lap 5 might be tricky, but track should rubber in now, so should improve. 21.7 for Leclerc. He's still 2.8, 2.9 clear at the front. Piastri only 1.7 ahead of Russell, which is interesting, with Norris just 9/10 behind. So Piastri really... Where's this McLaren race pace gone? If it's not tyre saving, we've got a difference of opinion in chat. If it's not tyre saving, then this pace that we all thought McLaren had, where they just run and hide on Sunday, isn't there, is it, at the moment? So Sky said it was a record top 10, 0.54 second gap, tightest in history. Yeah, I mentioned that a while ago, Kevin. It was, very briefly, Hadjar got face full of gravel from, I think that's a Haas, isn't it? 5-second time penalty for Nico Hulkenberg, false start, moving before signal. They might show a replay of that again, so I can make sure I see it this time. But I wonder if it was mistaken identity. Yeah, maybe, but that was that would hurt, wouldn't it? Definitely. But 5 seconds for Hulkenberg. Probably wishes that came before his stop, because then he could have got that out of the way nice and early and just pushed like crazy, couldn't he? But yeah, would a 3-stop work, says Clansom? It was something briefly mentioned by Bernie Collins, but at the moment Pirelli have said 2 stops is what they're expecting. But I guess if we get a safety car, you could maybe get a 3-stopper, but I think 2 is where we're looking at the moment. I think you'd need a safety car, which if you're watching F2 and F3, you're going to get a lot of safety cars, but maybe not today. Norris is now right in the back of Russell, half a second between them. Piastri still 2.8 off the lead, Russell 1.9 further back. So quite settled at the front. Seems happy, does Charles Leclerc. Yeah, what do you want me to say? 2.7 now up front, so that gap's come down by a tenth. The track temperature is very low. This limits their tyre cooling advantage to Gingerfest. Good point. I did say at the start, didn't I, that we're about where we were in Q3 yesterday, so that would make a bit of sense as well. 31.4 track, 22 air. So actually, do you know what? That air temperature is a lot cooler than yesterday as well, isn't it? So that's something to bear in mind. Cars can get quite hot around here, so should be okay today. Leclerc says, what's going on with these cuts? I'm guessing the response was, we are checking. But if Leclerc's getting cuts, that's bad news. Unless it's just... if he's got cuts in his tyres, or is it cuts in the engine, or is it cuts in something else? He's still leading, 2.8 seconds, so his pace is okay. But last thing we want is another problem. Norris is now right in the back of George Russell, who's just starting to drop off. Piastri now lost... 4 tenths, that's that 5 tenths. So yeah, could be cuts in the ERS deploy. Yeah, good point. Yeah, we'll see. Leclerc, like I say, just managing this quite nicely. We're very much looking to... I mean, if you look at the driver track, you can see where the bottleneck is. Begins with Fernando and ends in Alonso. That's a bottleneck might be harsh, but Bortoletto is right behind him. Verstappen is right behind him. Stroll is right behind him. Lawson right behind him, and so on and so forth, all the way down to Tsunoda in 19th place. There is a second or just under between every car. Between each car in that queue behind Alonso. The DRS zones are down the start, finish straight handsy, and between turns 1 and 2, just the one detection point, which is just for turn 14. So 1 detection, 2 DRS, one after the other. It's a shame. I feel like you could put a DRS detection right at the end of the straight, and then at least you'd have a second one with some fighting back down to turn 2, but then we're going to have cars trying not to slamming on the brakes like we saw in Jeddah a few years back, aren't we? Trying to not go past that line first. So it's a very tight and twisty track. It's very... what is it Anthony Davis says? It's like a go-kart track. So I thought I'd mention that one again. It's very close out there, but we're sort of waiting for something to happen here. It's so tough to overtake. And if you get in a DRS train, you are... pretty much finished. Does he jump? There's a jolt when the lights are just coming on. He said he didn't feel anything from his side. So yeah, that was if you just watch that one, let me know what you think. But that was an interesting call. I mean, there's a little jolt. But he wasn't exactly rolling at the start or anything like that. So transponders picked something up, didn't it? So no. Martin Brooks said that didn't look clear cut at all. I didn't think that was clear cut too. But obviously something said something, hasn't it? So some sensors have gone off. Russell's doing well here, actually, to keep Norris at bay. Maybe using his battery down that long straight to keep him at bay with the DRS. Like I say, tough to overtake, though. Hamilton down in 14th, Ocon 15th. Stuck in that train. Antonelli still 13th. Nothing has changed since the last run through the order. So Norris has stopped, according to the driver tracker. But I think he's okay. He still seems to be... There we go. He's just cut the entirety of turn 4, according to the turn 4 and 5. There we go. Well, I thought he'd stopped that. I thought he was out, but no, it was maybe a transponder issue again. Just a moment. And now he's flying. Look at him catching Russell there on the driver tracker. Super speed. Heart in mouth for Norris fans there, I'm sure. Disappointment now for Piastri fans, and he's got going again. Tiny crawl forward after the gear change jolt, says Warner's End. That would be enough, wouldn't it, to trigger the sensors? So that's fair enough, I guess. Just doesn't look like a lot, does it? But these sensors, they make those decisions. Same with 9 times out of 10, it's a cut and dry black and white penalty. It's very similar to pit lane speeding in that if you get noted for pit lane speeding, you're pretty much guaranteed a penalty because it's triggered something. So this DRS train behind Alonso is braking slightly because Bortoleto now 1.3 behind Alonso. Verstappen now 1.5 behind Bortoleto. So he is now the head of that train effectively. But Colapinto pitting might be a smart call here because he's going to get himself out of some nice clear air. As we saw with Hulkenberg, a fresh set of tyres gives you a really nice boost in speed because he did a cracking lap time on his out laps, on his first flying lap. So if Colapinto can stick in a really good lap here, he might be able to undercut some cars ahead of him. But I'd imagine, I suspect that was quite a slow stop for some reason. He seems to take a while in that pit lane, so maybe not. But I suspect that'll trigger a few people into pitting. That's a hard tyre for Colapinto. He seems to be a long time in the pit lane, but he is 21.9 behind Hulkenberg, so maybe not. I'd like to see a replay of that. But I think that's going to trigger everything in that midfield, which is then going to let the leaders off, isn't it? Because then they can pit when they all start to pit. So let's see if anyone immediately reacts to Colapinto. Gasly might come in. So Alonso, Bortoleto, Verstappen, Stroll, Lawson, they all go on. Bearman, Hadjar, Sainz, Antonelli, they go on. Hamilton goes on. Ocon's pitted. Albon's pitted. Gasly goes on. Tsunoda carries on as well. So a couple reacting to that one from Colapinto. Norris needs to get a wriggle on if he hopes to pass Oscar. Yeah, it's getting past Russell, isn't it? There's the problem here, and again, it's the overtaking. We've got that long zone, but it's almost not long enough. But I don't think... Close to an unsafe release there, should be okay. I don't think there's any way to make it longer, because I think it is more or less straight after the final corner, isn't it, the activation? So there's not a lot they can do. So at the moment, it's we had an interesting start, and there's some strategy at play here towards the back end in the midfield. But at the moment, it's all very sedate. If Norris gets past Russell and catches Piastri, that might liven things up. But again, tough to overtake here. So I'm still expecting a two-stop. In fact, I thought Norris had pitted then, but he was just wider than Russell on the exit. That threw me off. Albon makes sense. Ocon less so, says Nilesh. Hansi says Hamilton will be the biggest loser here with the DRS train. He will not gain much. He needs to be in soon, doesn't he? Colapinto didn't undercut Ocon or Albon in the end, so maybe that's why nobody reacted. I mean, I can't remember how far back he was, but he's 8.3 off them now. I thought Colapinto's stop seemed long. He seemed a long time in the pit lane. Sainz pits. Everyone else in front of him and around him goes on. Will Gasly pit? No, he won't. Tsunoda probably won't. No, he doesn't. Hulkenberg's already pitted. So Hulkenberg's getting a couple of places here. Nigel Mansell would find a way. He needs to give Norris some lessons, says Sticklebrick. Yeah. He was I think Nigel Mansell was a better driver than maybe some people remember him as. If you think about the era he was racing in and the drivers he was up against, I think he was actually a very good driver. And you could argue the fact he only got one world championship wasn't a travesty because he was racing with some incredible drivers, but, you know, he was very unlucky not to get more. My problem is not turn 2, it's the last 3 corners, says Lando Norris. But yeah, you think about Mansell racing, you know, Prost, Senna, PK. Was he racing Lauda as well? Maybe. The very early years of Michael Schumacher. You know, he had some pretty big talent to go up against. He wasn't, you know, wasn't up against bang average drivers, was he? So it wasn't easy back then at all, Tommy. Completely different. And reliability was horrific as well, so the bad luck was there. And, you know, when you had an accident back then, it was a, yeah, proper accident, wasn't it? Use the pace now, Oscar, is what Piastri's told. So whoever called the tyre saving, as well as me, may well have been right, actually. 2.5 seconds of gap, so he is definitely picking the pace up now, which is interesting to see. I imagine he'll be pitting pretty soon. I mean, Piastri's got to try the undercut, hasn't he? So... and if he's using his pace, by the way, he's only a 10th up in the first sector over Leclerc. Well, slightly more than a 10th, not a massive amount. And he's actually slower in the middle sector. So if this is the pace, then Ferrari are genuinely in this for the win. And you're going to say, well, hang on, Sean, he's led 17 laps, but I still think McLaren have got more in the tank if they need it, but we'll see. Yeah, Alonso's broken the train. He's gone. He's 3.6 clear of Bortoletto. Verstappen now 1.9 behind Gabriel. 1.5 to Stroll. A second to Lawson, 3.6 to Bearman. The train has broken. And we're now getting a bit of a queue behind Ollie Bearman, which is interesting. So, yeah, Hamilton making 0 progress. Antonelli is up a couple of places, +1 through the stops as well. Red Bull are ready. Ferrari are ready. This has got to be Max Verstappen. It is indeed. And you would think Lewis Hamilton would be in now to try and undercut Antonelli, Hadjar and co. But he... does not. Or were they just coming out to move their pipes? To move their pipes. That's what they were doing. 2.3 for Verstappen. Pretty good stop. Quite a slow pit lane here, isn't it? I keep forgetting that. But here he goes. Max Verstappen out in a nice-ish bit of clear air. He's got a bit of a gap to Hulkenberg, and he's got a nice bit behind him to Sainz. So maybe time to push. Is he trying to? He's got to try and get past Bortoletto here with the undercut, hasn't he? So what's Norris saying on the radio? They're thinking plan A -5, plan A -5. And Lando says, yes, confirm, my tyres are gone. So plan A -5 is, you would assume, a 2-stopper. Brace yourself, -5 laps. No, it's a 1-stopper -5 laps. Because they reckoned around 25 to 31, didn't they? So maybe that is a 1-stop -5. So that might be a 2-stopper now. They're saying plan A, but Piastri's pitted as well. So they are going for the undercut on Charles Leclerc. So this is going to be, needs to be a good stop. On go the hard tyres. Good stop indeed from McLaren. What was the actual time? That looked really rapid. And it doesn't say. That's a shame because that was quick. That looked really quick, and he's got this. He's going to get out in a bit of clear air as well, just ahead of Bortoletto. So that gap that's opened up between Alonso and Bortoletto may well help Piastri here. So he is going to have to push like crazy on this outlap. Norris going on. So that must be a 1-stop -5 is what they're going for. It's, I mean, look at that from Verstappen in the middle sector, 28.8 and a 22.6. That's rapid on new tyres. So Charles has to pit now. Any team with competent strategists would pit him now. But just a reminder, he's in a Ferrari, so he may wait 20 laps. You'd like to think they are in the pit lane, apparently. So there we go. We're all here like, Ferrari, please just do the obvious, for God's sake. What's Piastri doing? Middle sector's going to be key here. 29.1 in the middle sector for Leclerc. It's a 28.7 for Piastri. It's 0.4 of a second. It won't be enough alone, so he needs an epic final sector and hope maybe for a mistake in the Ferrari pit stop. Looked clean. Russell's in as well. Norris continues and takes the lead. Were they bluffing? Maybe McLaren. I don't know. But here we go. So Leclerc's on pit exit. Russell on pit exit as well. Leclerc will keep the lead. Piastri hasn't got the undercut. What's the gap though? And that was a little lockup from Leclerc actually, which is put him wide, which might cost him a bit of time. But the gap was around 2.5 seconds. It's now down to 1.3. 1 second. So Piastri really here, it's about getting into DRS, isn't it? At the end of this lap and then go for it. But Leclerc might be okay here. 1 second is the gap. I'm waiting for something to go wrong. Why am I falling apart? Is it just the stress of it all? They've done something right. Yeah, exactly. I don't know what. I assume you mean mentally falling apart rather than, you know, like my arms falling off and I've not noticed or something. But yeah, well, it's just classic Ferrari stuff. You sit here going, well, the obvious thing to do is pit. However, we're talking about Ferrari here, so probably not. Piastri 1.2 behind Leclerc, so Leclerc's okay at the minute, I think, but Leclerc has got Alonso to deal with, so has got DRS though, so should breeze past. Max Verstappen is behind his teammate gets right out of his way, and there goes Leclerc past Fernando Alonso. So at the moment, not worked for McLaren on Piastri. I think McLaren were bluffing there with Norris a little bit. Unless they were always intending to go further than this. But and Norris's pace is good. It's a 21.4. So they're trying to overcut, I think, here, McLaren. But, or maybe not overcut, but have the tyre delta at the end, is what I'm thinking there. So Norris has picked up the pace, but Leclerc is on his first flying lap post-pit stop. So Tsunoda pits for his second stop. It's going to be a strategy day, folks, I think. So if you hate strategy, sorry. If you love strategy, you might enjoy this one. Yeah, I thought he had a lock-up there, Nick. I wasn't sure if it was a lock-up or if he bottomed out down the straight, but there was a definite puff of smoke, wasn't there? So there goes Russell past Bortoletto. Hamilton yet to stop. Don't forget he started on the hard tyre, so he will run quite long into this race. In fact, what was the Pirelli reckoned? They didn't say for a hard start, but, you know, 44 laps into the race, probably. Would be possible. Maybe a bit less. 40 laps. That's a long way to go on any tyre, isn't it? So we'll see. I think 2 stop today will be good. 20.8, by the way, for Russell in 5th place, but a 21.5 for Leclerc in 2nd, and a 21.7 for Norris. So Norris still has got pace and was quicker than Piastri. So this is interesting. In comes Antonelli. I think Hamilton's coming in as well. No, they're not. They're going back in. They were dummying a pit stop for some reason. Because why not? They love a dummy pit stop, Ferrari, even when it makes no sense. 3.2 for Antonelli. That's a slow stop. Hard tyres for him. Is that 3.2? He needs to get ahead. He's not going to, is he? No, there goes the Alpine past Antonelli. That's Colapinto. That's bad news for Antonelli there. Yeah, Yuki on softs. I suspect, Nick, given his position and the likelihood of him not scoring points, I wonder if they're just going to send him out on the softs to see what it can do in terms of lap time, but also more importantly in terms of degradation, and then that gives them options with Verstappen later, doesn't it? Because hard tyre at the moment for Verstappen, he might be able to try the softs later, but if the softs are a terrible race tyre, Yuki can tell him. And then they can go for either another set of hards or a set of mediums, maybe? No, it has to be another set of hards because he hasn't got a set of mediums, but maybe just try some stuff out there. Makes sense. If he's not going to score points, may as well try and help his teammates score points. But what, I mean, this feels like an evergreen statement at the moment, but how the mighty have fallen. I mean, Red Bull sending out, this isn't Verstappen going for a win. This is Verstappen trying to get a decent haul of points and having to use Yuki Tsunoda to try and find a way to make that work. Bizarre. It's not been a good weekend for Red Bull at all, has it? So this is either plan A, look to extend, or plan D, just keep talking to us about tyres, is what he's been told now, Norris. He said tyres were nearly finished, and he's still doing good-ish lap times. That said, he was 1.1 seconds slower than Charles Leclerc on that lap and 9/10 slower than his teammate. So maybe now will be a good time for Norris to pit. But I suppose probably going to end up third. I think even if Russell comes back in, I think Norris will have the pace. Well, he didn't get past him, did he? So that's stupid, sure. No. It'll be third or fourth, Norris's worst-case scenario today. Maybe hang for a safety car a little bit, or see if he can extend for a better tyre delta. I don't know. I'm not a strategist, as you can tell. I learned all my strategy from Ferrari. This is going to be Nico Hulkenberg cutting the chicane. I thought I saw this in the background. Indeed, he does. Cutting the chicane. Verstappen goes through, and then Hulkenberg just cuts the corner because, you know, it's that'll run into him. Yeah, I think so, Nick. Yeah, I think Max has earned a promotion to Racing Bulls. I love that people see that as the promotion now. It's the other way around, isn't it? So maybe that's what my video should have been about for the first week of the summer break. Who's going to get the promotion to Racing Bulls rather than who gets the promotion to Red Bull. It might all change next season. You never know. Or it's going to be an even bigger disaster. Total speculation, of course, as Verstappen makes a nice move around the outside there of Pierre Gasly at turn 2. But if that Red Bull ends up being sort of the 7th fastest car next year, I tell you what, there won't be too much speculation on Max Verstappen going to Mercedes. It'll be decided pretty damn quickly. It won't last half a season, that's for sure. Let's put it that way. You never know. This was really terrible, this idea. I've pitted in so much traffic, says Max. Have they hired some Ferrari strategists? Or I don't know. Pit crew sat there. Well, why do we bother? George Russell's got a good pace, by the way. Has had good pace. So that's nice to see from Mercedes. Cooler temperatures, maybe, helping them a little bit here. But I know there's been a rough few races at times as Russell has a look at the Aston and thinks better of it. Although he's left the door open there, has Fernando Alonso. And Russell's going to try and get through, but he's not going to do it. Alonso's still running, by the way. Aston do like... Oh, and did Russell tag the back of Alonso? That was close. To the back of Alonso defending. But yeah, they do like to run long, don't they? Do Aston Martin, so... That said... Alonso's pace is only a tenth and a half, 2 tenths off Norris. So, I mean, he's not slow. He's just not as quick as George Russell. And I wonder if that's what McLaren are looking at here. How long can Alonso keep Russell at bay? It's got to be tired now, so they can't be safety car hanging. They're going for the championship, for God's sake. Do you think the one stop would work? Is the question to Oscar Piastri, and his engineer says, difficult, Oscar. Looked like contact. It was close, wasn't it? It's like if they didn't touch, they were close to. Here's Alonso looking back from him. I was trying to grunt there to make it really dramatic, and it didn't work, and I ended up just coughing. They've slowed it. Oh, there is a little bit of contact. You're right. Yeah, just a little tiny bit, not enough to cause damage. But yeah, that was a little bit close. But here goes Russell this time. This will be easy into turn 1 unless he messes it up. Through into 4th place. 17-2 off the lead. So not enough for a pit stop at the moment, Norris. But let's see what Russell does in clear air. Quite a bit of clear air, actually. 7 seconds up to Oscar Piastri. So see what he can do. Hamilton's down 11th yet to start. In fact, I'll tell you who's, easier. Well, no. Norris, Alonso, Bortoleto, Stroll, Lawson, Bearman, Hadjar, Hamilton, Gasly, all yet to stop. Everyone else has pitted once. Yeah, good split actually between mediums and hards at the moment. So, Verstappen on the back of Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen Verstappen has stopped. Not happy with the strategy. Hamilton hasn't stopped. Not happy in general. So let's see what Verstappen could do. Will he try it at the chicane on Hamilton? Should have more grip and better traction out of this turn 5. Bit of a sitting duck behind these guys, says Lewis Hamilton. Yeah. Where are we? 27 out of 70. Long, 44 laps to go yet in this race. So I didn't mean that to sound like I'm waiting for it to be over. Oh, when will this finish? No, I didn't mean like that. But yeah, we are not even at the halfway point. So I'd be surprised if one stops work today. But you've got Alonso still out there, 27 laps on the medium. Same with Norris. So I wonder if Norris is going to just go for the one stopper now. At which point Piastri really has to step up the pace. That pit stop, by the way, for Piastri sort of worked. He is getting on for a second closer to Leclerc than he was. So that's something. But yeah. Max in Series 2 here won't even finish top 6, says Nick. He's a long way off the lead as well, mate. 42 seconds. So he's not got past. He's now in a bit of a train, isn't he, though, now, Verstappen? So he's picked off the ones that weren't in DRS, and now he's got to try and get past Hadjar and Hamilton, who are in the train behind Bearman. It's not really a train. Is it a train? 3-4 cars a train, or do we need to be a bit bigger than that for it to be a bit more dramatic? I think McLaren are doing what you think they're doing, Louis. I think I need to read that radio again, because that even when they're having a good race, it's still a bit on the radio. Leclerc says, I can feel what we discussed before the race. We need to discuss those things before doing those. So things, even when they're having a good weekend, things still a little bit on team radio for Ferrari. It's not a happy camp, is it, at the moment? If he wins, it might be. Norris said, we're considering a one-stop, 40 laps on a hard. Are you keen for it? He said, why not? So they are doing exactly what you thought they were doing, Louis. Or Lewis. A tram. That'll do. It's a tram. It's a DRS tram. We need more cars in this for it to be a train. Got to remember, it'll frustrate a lot of people if Norris wins this on a different strategy to Piastri. You've got to remember there's two sides to the garage as well. So they are a team, but they are competing on both sides, aren't they? So they're going to try other things. But yeah, why not was an interesting radio. We are going to lose this race with these things. We are losing so much time, is what Leclerc said. But Leclerc, actually, him and Piastri on the same pace. They are quicker than Norris, and quite substantially a second quicker on that lap, both the 1.1 in the case of Piastri. So Leclerc's not happy about something. The DRS bendy bus. Well, it depends, doesn't it? I mean, if Leclerc gets on the back of Norris, he's effectively got a pit stop over Norris, hasn't he? So that could negate the one stop. But then if Norris is super quick on those hards, we'll find out. It's going to leave Piastri and Leclerc having to overtake him. That makes sense. He's been told that if Leclerc catches them, they'll bring him in. If the lap time drops, they'll bring him in. So they wanted to keep going for now. But yeah, a couple more laps before we get to that 40 mark. What was it? Was it Austria? Did he one stop in Austria, Norris, and Piastri two stop? Where was it where that happened recently? You have to forgive me. Here goes Verstappen having a go at Lewis Hamilton into turn 4. Oh, that was a little bit. That was risky. Hamilton hopped out of the way and straight into the runoff area. That was very near. That's a frustrated Verstappen, I think, there. But nothing wrong with the move. He's stuck his nose in there, and Hamilton's gone wide to avoid something. But I don't think Verstappen's done anything wrong there. But I'm sure Crofty will decide he warrants a penalty for that. That's fine. That's fine. Lewis bailed out of it. That's that. Yes, Verstappen made him make a decision, but yeah. As Martin Brother said, he went off in sympathy, or he's maybe had a wobble, I'm going to say there as well. Just gone wide, but yeah, that's fine. 11th for Verstappen. Although it is quite depressing, frankly, to be thinking of Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton battling for 11th and 12th, but that's where we are. So Alonso's still up there, though, in 5th place, plodding along quite nicely on his medium tyres. Lap times not great now, 23-0. Bortoletto as well, and Stroll, and Lawson, and Bearman, and Hadjar are all yet to stop. So they're doing a cracking job on those mediums. So is Lando Norris, but that gap now 3.5 to Leclerc. So you'd want Norris in soon, wouldn't you? Really, that's what they say on the radio. But Piastri is still closing in a little bit on Leclerc, but it's not that close. Turn 6, a lot more tailwind. Leclerc made the same mistake, says Piastri. Neely says unlikely to work, but defo worth a try. What? As I say, Norris was 4th before the pit stops. Worst case scenario today, he ends up 4th. Best case, he makes a one-stop work and he wins it. So you may as well go for it. You may as well go for it. I still think he'll end up 3rd, even if he doesn't win it and the one-stop does. I still think he'll get 3rd. But you may as well give it a go. It's worth a go. Absolutely. In comes Bearman, finally, for a pit stop. They're going to show Verstappen here passing Hadjar into the chicane. Again, much easier than perhaps overtaking others in that chicane, but he still made the move. Russell, a lot of track limits coming through now, actually, for Russell, Norris, Colapinto, Antonelli, and Hulkenberg, the last 4. So they're starting to crop up. And here goes Norris now boxing. So 2.2 seconds. So they are going to bring him in. He needs a good stop here. In he comes. Not quite slamming on the brakes on like he did earlier in the weekend at the pit entry. But that'll send Leclerc through and Piastri through. They now need to hope that Norris either gets stuck behind Russell again and has horrible traffic and bad pace, or they can just get on themselves. I'm intrigued by this. Is that a used set of hards on Norris? It wasn't shiny. Was that a 2-second stop as well? They've noted the incident between Verstappen and Hamilton. If you want to call that an incident, then good Lord, are we done with racing? But it is only noted, not investigated yet, but we'll see what happens. No, they've done one lap, so they've been scrubbed in. So they aren't new tyres, but they have only done the one lap. I thought they weren't shiny, so there we go. Leclerc is on the hards, Piastri's on the mediums at the moment. In terms of what tyres are left, Piastri has a used set of hards, which may also have only done one lap like Norris's, because they both have the same. Leclerc has another fresh set of hards, so yeah. Track limits at turn 4, lap 29 for Hamilton. We know what that one was. Albon's had one deleted as well. I might have to open the track limits tracker, actually, because there are a couple of spots around here that are a little bit of a threat, aren't they, to penalties and whatnot. I mean, Leclerc's talking about losing this race, but I mean, they're still pretty much identical up front on pace, and it's 1.5 seconds. So I mean, I understand his concern, but he's not dropping. He's not a second a lap slower or anything crazy like that, is he? So interesting. Maybe I don't know what's up with Leclerc. He's leading the race, but he's not thrilled, is he, on the radio? So maybe he felt a one stop was possible. I don't know, but we'll keep an eye on Norris's times. Outlap was hasn't triggered yet, so first lap after the stops, matching the leaders, but slower than Piastri and slower than Norris by Leclerc, sorry, by a little bit, not massive. Up into sector 2, we'll see what happens. But I think my driver tracker is slightly behind the timing actually here, weirdly. But hey ho. .5 the gap at the front, lap 34 of 70. We'll give it one more lap before I ask the question. The inevitable mid-race question. It's a big strategy day, isn't it, today? That's what we're trying to work out now, what Norris is doing. Matching, again, Piastri, not rapid. Good final sector, actually. 3/10 quicker, so it might work for Norris yet. We'll see. Those two are going to have to pit again It's what tyres they decide to put on. Like I say, is they've both got... I think those Piastri used are going to be the same as the Norris used, which is 1 lap on them. So should be okay. And Leclerc's got another fresh set of hards as well. So Russell also with a fresh set of hards, but I don't think Russell... Not really in it, is he? I'm just... Martin Brundle saying there's a pit stop gap now to the leaders for Norris, but that gap is coming down a little bit. But I'm just trying to work out, as Leclerc does a purple middle sector, whether maybe while there is a pit stop gap, do you bring the lead to him? But then they've also got to do the same amount of laps on those tyres as Norris, and if they fall behind him, they're going to be in trouble, aren't they? So they're going to want the delta towards the end. Antonelli battling here with Franco, Colapinto. Tsunoda still not really doing anything back there. 1.4 behind Antonelli and on the soft tyre, of course. Done 13 laps on those, so let's see how much further he tries to go on them. Longest stint on the softs at the start of the race was from Sainz on 15 laps. So Russell does a 1:20.8, the fastest lap of the race, actually, and quicker than the leaders by 1/10 of a second. And actually, not anymore. Norris got it, 1:20.7. I thought it was going to. Interesting. This could be a bit of a tight finish. It could be another one of those races where it all comes to a head with 10 laps to go, or we go into the summer with everyone complaining about McLaren favouring, in air quotes, Lando Norris. You know the internet, you know it. Where is what we got here? So Hadjar's just pitted. That's what I was trying to look for. I was trying to find a second Racing Bulls and I couldn't find it there. Piastri on the radio asked how the tyre is. He didn't go to the end on another hard tyre from here. He says, if I pit again, yes. So if I pit again, yes. He's not getting to the end on that set of hard, surely. Surely. Yeah, Norris could pull this off reclusive duck. It's still going to be tough, but it's looking more likely than it was 10 minutes ago because his pace is okay. They are investigating turn 4. We'll see if there was contact. There was no Hamilton radio to suggest contact, was there? Usually you'd think he would say, he's just hit me, but I didn't catch any radio there. Doesn't mean there hasn't been any, but... I can't... See, Neelish says he thinks the top 3 will 1 stop. I'm not sure how they can. If 40 laps on the hard seemed a lot for Norris, there's another huge bunch of laps to stick on the front 3 as well, isn't there? And are they going to fall off the cliff when they get there? So I'm not sure they'll go to the end, the top 3. Russell might try it. They're going through the racing guidelines. If there was no contact there and that's a penalty, then I get what he's saying, Anthony Davison, that the front axle must be in line with the wing mirror of the car that's being overtaken. But Hamilton did somewhat just throw himself off the track. It's whether or not you think he threw himself off the track to avoid contact, or there was contact, or it was a mistake. It depends what the stewards decide on that one, but yeah. I mean, Norris is pushing, by the way. 1:20.5 versus a 21.3, 21.4 and a 21.1 ahead. So he's quick. He's not really sort of bedded them in, has he? So he is pushing hard. Aston Martin are finally in the pit lane for one of their drivers, and it is Lance Stroll, first one in. Leclerc and Piastri have to make a decision either way now, really. Are you pitting again, or are you going to risk it to the end? At this pace, Norris has got more than enough speed to catch them. It's whether or not he can pass them. That's the problem, isn't it? But if they've got tyres that old when he gets there... Stroll just ahead of the Williams there of Alex Albon. He had to get a bit defensive into turn 1 there, but he is there. Russell on the radio. Still really good lap times. Just keep banging them in is what is being told. And he says, just let me drive. Blimey. Yeah, not really sure what... I mean, Piastri now 1.9 behind Leclerc, so if they've got any pace in front two, they need to push now. Otherwise, Lando Norris is, I think, looking pretty good here, unless we're about to see a huge mistake now, and I'm going to make a fool of myself. Yeah, a little bit wide into a bit of gravel, kicks it up, but you'll lose a bit of time there, but not an awful lap in the end. Intrigue, team radio for Norris. Turn into focus. There you go. I mean, what do you think, chat? We are halfway through. We're just over halfway through. If you were giving this a score out of 10 right now, what would you give this race? Out of 10 right now. Some good strategy stuff in there. But there's not, outside of strategy, there's not a lot happening, is there? But that, I mean, I'm not angry at that. It's Hungary. It's, as they've said in commentary on Sky, it's a track position track. It's not easy to pass on, but it's one of those tracks that's not easy to pass on, but it's fun to watch the cars around, and strategy is really important. So I guess it depends how you view it. If we're rating it on strategy alone, you're probably giving it a really good score. If you're rating it on wheel-to-wheel, side-by-side overtaking, you're not giving it a very high score. If you're giving it on how cool the cars look around a track that is essentially a go-kart track, then you're giving it a high score. So it depends what you value, I suppose, when you're watching Formula One. Everyone's different. That's why I don't do the... a lot of people do ratings, don't they, and rankings after race weekends. I don't do it because I think, yeah, a 10 a penny for starters, but... a lot of you seem to be around the 4, 5, 6 mark. Hansi says 1 out of 10. Neil's gone 3 out of 10. It's not any different to Monaco, says Hansi. Well, there's no buildings there. So there's no houses. There's that. It's a little bit different in that regard. But yeah, no. 4, 5, 6. Again, depends what you're looking at, doesn't it? So 4 out of 10 without Max. 2 out of 10, says Nick. It's probably how I'd rate most championship seasons, to be honest. I said this. I don't know if I said this on stream yesterday. I certainly said it to Sam the other day. Once you remove Max Verstappen from the title fight, it's all a bit flatter, isn't it? Okay, so is that same question as Austria? Really? Would you prefer? Slightly tweaks. Would you prefer the undercut to Leclerc or the tyre delta to Lando? Piastri says if beating Lando is realistic, he'd rather have the delta. So that's interesting. That they're sort of asking the same question. He got it wrong in Austria, didn't he? So let's see what happens. Bloody fluff everywhere. Anyway, it's the dog. He destroys his toys and there's stuffing and fluff everywhere. It's ridiculous. Actually, what I will do, I was just going to do that because I wanted to check. So in comes Alonso, finally on lap 40. So Alonso's done 40 laps on the mediums. Could Leclerc and Piastri do 30 laps plus the 20 they've already done, so 50 overall on the hards? If Alonso could do 40 on mediums. I guess they probably... Right, so it's the same as last week. Can they? Yes. Will they have any pace with them? Probably not. They are bringing Piastri in. So they've waited until the gap comes down to 13.3. Sorry, no, 12 point something. Leclerc's in as well. So Piastri's gone on now. So they were bluffing. They were playing games. On go the hard tyre for Leclerc. So Ferrari reacting there to any kind of undercut. He's going to have to go aggressive. I tell you what, Norris is a bit further ahead than I thought it was going to be on Leclerc here. In fact, I'll tell you when it all settles down, but that's a bigger gap than I thought. But then I'm shite at maths, so it's not a great surprise, is it? So, but in comes Leclerc. So a good offset, 10 laps over 10, just the 110. It's not 30. 10 laps over Norris, and he's 7 seconds behind. So Piastri's going to use the pace in some clear air here. In comes Bortoletto. Finally for his start. So 40 laps on the mediums. That's a lot of laps. Analysis. Hamilton's still done 40 there. So maybe this 40, 50 laps isn't the end of isn't impossible. But when you look at the lap times, I mean, Piastri are 1:21.6 versus versus Norris's 20.4. It's a 1.2 difference. Thank you very much for Jazzy for subscribing. Hamilton and Verstappen will be investigated after the race. That tells me that they maybe want to have a word with, well, they want to have a word with the drivers for sure, but I wonder if it is because they're not sure whether Hamilton threw it off track to avoid a collision, made a mistake, or whatever, because there wasn't any moaning on the radio. So I wonder if they just want to sit down and have a chat about why Hamilton went out wide before making a call, which I don't like it, because now you don't know what the race result is and won't know for about 6 hours. Not that it matters where they are on the in the order, but you know. Yeah, thank you to Jazzy for subscribing. If you are new, please do subscribe. Lots to come. Thomas will be with you tomorrow with a roundup from the Hungarian Grand Prix paddock. Always nice to see the paddock buildings in the background when he's doing his wrap. Sam will be with you with a short on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'll have something Thursday and Saturday for you. And then obviously I'm on holiday for 2 weeks, but I will have some pre-recorded content out over the summer break. And Elizabeth will have a couple of videos as well, including one on Antonelli, which will be interesting. So please do subscribe if you're new, and drop a like as well if you could. 500 odd of you here, 76 likes. Let's get that over 100 as soon as possible. It's always nice to get to triple digits, and then I'll stop asking until the end of the stream. So yeah, please do drop a like to get us over that 100 mark, and subscribe if you're new. Lots to come. Very much looking forward to spending the rest of this season with you all in one form or another. Well, in this form it'll still be me, but you know, video, shorts, streams, you get the point. 28 laps to go. Leclerc's lap, now we need to keep an eye on Leclerc's lap times and what he's doing. So 20.3 for Norris was the fastest lap. So last lap a 20.4, Leclerc did a 20.6. So Norris still quicker, but Leclerc might just be easing these tyres in. I remember I go back to Nico Rosberg a couple of years ago talking about why you have to ease these tyres in rather than just take the pace out of them straight away. So that's what he's doing there probably. Russell happy to extend. I assumed he would be. Norris is right behind him. Hamilton's coming in for some medium tyres. 41 laps in the end on those. So Russell is going to... How long can Russell keep Norris at bay? It's going to be tougher for Russell this time, because Norris's tyres are significantly fresher than his. So it might be tough. But in comes Lewis Hamilton into the pits. Up on the jacks. Is it going to be a good stop? A bad stop? It's okay. It looked okay. 2.3 seconds. A good stop then. He'll drop back through the pack. Russell being told to box, so much for extend. It was one whole lap. So he's not going to hold up Norris for too long. Although I suspect he would have had him down that straight anyway. If there was contact and they deemed Max forced him off, Max is looking at a 10-second penalty and 3 penalty points, says Fudd. Wouldn't be a race ban just yet, would it? So I think he's got some more dropping off soon. So he did serve his penalty, by the way, Hulkenberg. That's just come through. So that is sorted for him. Russell probably looking at staring down the barrel of a 4th place here, but maybe the tyre offset might bring it back into play. Norris does a 28.9 in the first sector. It is purple. What can Leclerc do? 29.2. So again, Norris still super quick. So yeah, this is Hamilton has been lapped. Yes, indeed. It is now about what Piastri could do. I mean, to be fair to Piastri, last lap he was 4/10 quicker than Lando Norris on the much older tyres. So he's still got pace. The gap's 9 seconds, but Piastri's going to have to use as much pace as possible. He's not going to get to a pit stop gap. But yeah, Hamilton's 16th through all those pit stops. So that long... Just watching Ocon here, because it is an attempt at an overtake. We might as well enjoy that. Trying to get around the outside of Isack Hadjar here. Not going to happen at turn 2. He's not having an epic race against Hadjar, is he? Had a bit of a rough run up to this summer break as Hadjar. But yeah. Norris a 120.1. Piastri did a 122.2. So 2 seconds quicker that lap. So I think if you're, did Piastri get traffic? Maybe, but if you're 2 seconds slower, you've got to pit. You've got to pit, surely. Is that right? A 22.2? It is, yeah. He's going to come out a long way behind Norris, but he's going to have to stop. He'll be behind Leclerc, so he's got to clear Leclerc and Norris, and Leclerc's pace is not exactly great at the moment, so I think McLaren might have played a blinder here with Norris's strategy. I'm listening to the radio, sorry. Piastri says, I don't really care about Leclerc. I want the best chance to beat Lando. So they're bringing in Oscar Piastri. But your best chance to... I might feel really silly in 25 laps, but I almost feel like the best chance to beat Lando was stay out and fight him. But on those tyres, he was already 2 seconds slower on that lap. So maybe not. It was a better lap, but still slower, considerably slower. So I think it was probably right to bring him in anyway. He's going to come out behind Leclerc. He's going to have to clear Leclerc. That's the problem. But Norris is definitely going to the end from here. But he's done 15 laps on his tyres. Piastri has a fresh set. Let's see what he can do. Russell, by the way, did a 19.4 on his second fly lap, isn't it? Yeah. So comfortably quicker than the leader there. I've just got the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls media schedule for the weekend through. That's great. Thanks, guys. Really useful. We've got 25 laps of the weekend left. I don't care what your media schedule was for Friday. Anyway, Norris is faster than Charles. Norris has got this. I think he has. I think it was a good move bringing Oscar in. The problem that Piastri has is that he has to clear Leclerc first. That won't be easy. Courtney says, I don't think anyone can catch Lando at this point. And Norris needs to back off, to be honest, says Neelish. The Norris backing off thing is interesting, isn't it? Because it's he's been pushing hard, so he's got to he's asking for being more proactive with blue flags. But aside from getting your megaphone out and shouting from the pit wall, move, there's not really a lot you can do, I suppose. Drivers have to react to them. But yeah, no, I mean, getting that track position, is it easier to defend with used tyres than it is to chase? I suppose it is in a way. Easier to defend here is the point I'm making. It's not easy to overtake. So your tyres might be a bit knackered at the end, but you might have a better chance of keeping the drivers behind than trying to pass them. I don't know. But I'm waffling. I'm trying to fill time here. Got 24 laps, and we're all just basically watching to see what Oscar Piastri could do. On his first flying lap, he was a 10th quicker on that first sector than Lando Norris. So wait for the second sector as Leclerc kicks up a bit of dust on the exit there of the chicane. Russell did a 28.8. He's really quick on these tyres at the moment, so he's not likely to be in a fight for a podium, but he's certainly putting up a good fight, which is good to see. Top four have gone, by the way. They are in a world of their own. Verstappen is 42 off the lead and 24 behind Russell. Yeah, keyword is if. It is if. It's courtesy call, not Courtney. Courtesy call, sorry. It is definitely if. But if is F1 spelt backwards, as Murray Walker once said. So, once said quite a few times. So used to say, I suppose, is what I was trying to say there. But a lot of ifs and buts in F1. 19.6 from Piastri. 20.3 from Norris. So he is a lot quicker. In fact, he's actually 8 tenths quicker than Leclerc. But he's got to get past Leclerc. That's the problem, isn't it? I think Charles Leclerc is going to be a bit miffed in the pen after this race. Look, that Ferrari's had good pace this weekend at the hands of Leclerc. It's still the inferior car to the McLaren, isn't it? So when you have the inferior car and an opportunity like this opens up, you need to try something a bit different. And maybe they should have tried to make a one-stop work. Obviously, this is all shoulda, woulda, coulda, hindsight, all of that. But, yeah. I don't think, to be clear, I don't think Ferrari have had a bad strategy today. They reacted to Piastri when they needed to. Maybe they could have extended rather than coming in quite as early as they did, or they could have reacted to Norris a bit more quickly. But I don't think the strategy itself has been bad. It's just McLaren have taken a punt and it's worked out. I say taken a punt with an absolute crap ton of data to take that punt, but you know what I mean. Norris, Piastri, Leclerc, I think now, says Phil Chitty. I had to say that carefully, didn't I? But yeah, I'd be less missed now than I would be if Piastri stayed out, says Nilesh. That's true. Leclerc is my driver today, no matter what happens. To be in the mix of those McLarens with that car is no mean feat, says Hansi. Leclerc, where is he? 0.3 slower than Norris, and actually nearly a second slower than Piastri. So at the moment, Leclerc is staring down the barrel of P3. I tell you what, car is broken. I've got no grip at all. Significant rear damage. You have 1% more aero balance than planned, is what Bearman's been told. Verstappen pits. I'm assuming that's for a set of softs, maybe. Go have some fun. No, it's a fresh set of hards with 22 laps to go. I suppose he can just push them like crazy to the end now, though, can't he? So, going to get out there and have some fun. I mean, to be fair, the soft experiment on Tsunoda did not work, so why bother? Colapinto last. I don't feel like I've seen a lot of him today. Is that just ahead of Antonelli is Verstappen for P9. So, yes. Oh. What's everyone doing this evening while we wait for this all to sort of come alive? Box to retire the car, Bearman's told. I am going to watch this race, finish the stream, let it process and all that business. Then I'm going to start editing my Red Bull second driver video. Then I'm going to get some dinner. Then I'll edit Thomas's paddock roundup when that comes in. And then bed and off we go again tomorrow, I guess. That's my plan. Black and white flag for car 31. By the way, that's Esteban Ocon. That'll be for track limits, I imagine. There goes Lewis Hamilton past Pierre Gasly for P14. Yes. Hamilton actually purple in the first sector, 2087. So Nilesh is getting some breakfast when the race ends. I don't know what I'm having for dinner yet. Haven't decided. I'll decide soon at some point. Platalabi's having a beer or two right now. Why not? I wish I'd bought a beer or two. Don't know if I get away with that, though. It's technically drinking at work, isn't it? But there you go. There's going to be a lot of traffic to go through. We're going to have to look after the front left tyre, is what Norris is told. So this is what... I've forgotten who it was in chat that said it, actually. He needs to maybe back off and look after tyres. Look at Piastri right on the back here of Charles Leclerc. Warner's End is going to play Spider-Man. Absolutely sounds like a good one for me. I need to watch some Spider-Man films. The new one's coming out soon, isn't it? So, and there goes Piastri down the outside of Charles Leclerc with, dare I say, apparent ease. That didn't look like a struggle, did it? It was a nice move around the outside, but that didn't look... Yeah. That's I thought there'd be more of a fight there, but he's caught him and got straight past him. So that might bring Piastri into play now. 20 laps to go. He is quicker than the leader. In fact, in that first sector, he was 7/10 quicker alone. So Platalobium has work tomorrow. Me too. I have to call this work now because it is actually a job now, isn't it, officially? So I have work tomorrow, but it is still more of the same. Me talking nonsense into a microphone. So, you know, if you call that a job, why not? There's Ollie Bearman in the pit lane. Some damage from somewhere. Maybe curb damage or a contact we've not seen. What I was going to say before I got into anything else was that the problem for Leclerc here isn't actually Piastri. Look at George Russell's pace. He's 5.7 seconds behind, and on the last lap was nearly 2 seconds quicker than Leclerc. I think Leclerc here, at the moment, I'll wait for this first lap without having to battle with... I say battle with Piastri, but at least have to defend on Piastri. Let's see what he does here. 19.5 for Piastri, 1.2 seconds quicker than Lando Norris. Norris has got a bit of traffic ahead of him, but I still think that car is rapid in the hands of Piastri at the moment. I'm just waiting to see what Russell does as he goes across the line, but the gap to Leclerc is already down to 4.8. I think Leclerc's in trouble here. So annoying. Anyone new to the channel will see me sat here in Mercedes gear with Russell catching Leclerc and wondering why I'm depressed. Just to anyone new, I wear the Mercedes gear because I really like their merch, but I am a Ferrari fan. Especially Leclerc. I do love Charles, but yeah, this is... Piastri's got the gap down to 6.9, by the way. He's absolutely on it. We are going to get a fight for the lead at this pace. That was 1.4 quicker on that lap than Piastri. Leclerc does a 1:21.2, so a better lap. What does George Russell do? It's a 1:20.2. It is almost exactly 1 second quicker. A 1 second quicker. Russell's coming for Leclerc here. As Sainz is on pit exit, so he's made another stop. Really good mix of tyre strategies actually today, which is good to see. A lot of medium hard, but we've also got those softs thrown in there a few times and some different orders as well. So Leclerc on the radio. This is so frustrating. We've lost all competitiveness. You just have to listen to me. I would have found a different way to managing those issues. So he's got problems or tyre problems. Car's undrivable. A miracle if we finish on the podium. He sounds miffed. Miffed is one of my favourite words for being peed off. It's that or just swearing all the time. I know most of you don't care about bad language, but I like to try to be careful. But he does look a bit miffed. Doesn't look very happy. Courtesy call says Ferrari fan must be used to being dissatisfied. Depressed is the word. Most of the time. We've not won a title since 2008 of any kind. Next year will be our year. 6.1 seconds a gap at the front. Norris a bit quicker that lap. Only Piastri only 5 tenths quicker. So just steady that off a little bit, Norris. Now that he's cleared the traffic, Piastri has to make his way through that as well. So we'll see what happens on this lap. He's got Gasly and Ocon ahead of him, but then Norris is going to catch Hamilton and Hadjar and Antonelli soonish, isn't he? So yeah, is there enough time for Verstappen to be lapped here? I'm not sure. But Verstappen currently chasing down Lawson. I don't imagine that'll be too tough a move to make if he gets alongside him. Yeah. He indeed a bit bothered. Indeed. 5.7 at the front. 6 seconds back to Leclerc, who's now 3.4 clear of Russell. 7 tenths the difference in Russell's favour on that last lap. So we have got a battle potentially for the lead. Here comes Piastri now. So this Norris might be able to build a bit of a gap here as he's dealing with Gasly and Ocon. If there's a safety car, we would take it for a hard tyre. You'd only lose out to Oscar. And Norris says soft. I assume he's referring to the tyre, not attacking his engineer there. You're soft. But yeah, no. If there's a safety car. It'd be nice to have a safety car because it would mean that something other than strategy has happened. But I think this is going to come to a head here. It's, again, even on that lap with traffic, Piastri's still a couple of tenths quicker than Norris. So the gap does still come down. Piastri clears Ocon, and now he's got clear air between himself and Norris as Norris closes in on Lewis Hamilton. But Hamilton's times are only a couple of tenths slower than Norris. So it's going to take a while to catch him, if at all. So what happened with Leclerc being first, says Magic Mushroom. What did I miss? I don't know. I didn't look at chat when I last made this point, but I don't think Ferrari did a lot wrong with strategy from what we saw. There seems to be something going on that we maybe don't know about. But since that second pit stop, it's all just fallen apart for him. Piastri breezed past him. Norris is running long, of course, but Piastri breezed past him with ease, I'd argue. And then Russell is closing in as well, half a second again on that last lap. Piastri 6 tenths quicker than the leader on this lap. Leclerc, what's he going to do over the line? He's already 13 seconds off the lead and 7.7 behind Piastri. 1:21.1 for Leclerc. Russell a 1:20.2. Oh dear. Just 15 laps to go. Yeah, I'm not sure what the car issues are at Extreme Gaming. That's what I'm trying to work out what they might be. He had that cutting out, didn't he, earlier in the race? So maybe that's something to do with it. But yeah, falling apart. Falling apart. Crofty making a point there. Interesting point that if Piastri stays where he is, he'll lead the championship by 9 points. If he passes Norris, he'll lead by 23. It will be, yeah, 23 points. Just checking, yeah. No point for fastest lap, of course. That doesn't come into play. But yeah, it's quite a difference, isn't it? When you put it that way. 9 points or 23 points is going to be the gap. Unless they crash into each other, and it might still be 16. But yeah, that's Leclerc and Russell's hope here, isn't it? That these two get a bit too close. 23 points is massive, Hansi, but Fernando Alonso led by about 40 points, didn't he, over Sebastian Vettel at the summer break. I know that Romain Grosjean's antics in Belgium really did shaft Fernando Alonso that year, but Vettel also had some pretty impressive form in that second half, if you like, of the season post-summer break. So bigger gaps have been turned around. And don't forget that last year Max Verstappen was like 50 points clear, and Sky were declaring Norris a title contender. So, I mean, you know, 23 points is nothing in that context, is it, I suppose? What happened to Antonelli? Almost lapped Russell. I don't think anything's happened to Antonelli. I think he's driven okay. I mean, he's up 5 places to 10th place, so it's not been a bad race for Antonelli to get into the points, but he's not at the pace of his teammate all weekend, has he, really? And they're investigating the incident between Hulkenberg and Tsunoda at turn 1. That was one where Hulkenberg was wide, so I'm sure Tsunoda's very concerned about a penalty down there in 18th place. But yeah, I don't think Antonelli's done anything wrong today. He's just not at the pace all weekend of his teammate. Gap at the front, 4.4, by the way. Russell now 1.2 behind Charles Leclerc. Oh, Charles, whatever the problem is. It's about managing a problem, so that could be the cutting thing from earlier, couldn't it? I might have a look at the group chat. That could be the cutting thing from earlier. Yeah, nothing that I can see. No. So maybe he felt he could have managed that better if they dealt with it. But then he was talking about discussing it before the race. So I know, look, if I'd have put the Ferrari shirt on, he'd have crashed in turn 1, Kevin. You know how this goes. It's not that I didn't wear the Ferrari shirt. If I'd worn it, he'd have crashed. It would have been game over. No further action, by the way, on Hulkenberg and Tsunoda. That's Axl Rose there from Guns N' Roses. I'm not going to start singing, don't worry. You can in chat. If you want to see some Guns N' Roses, you can do. Feel free. As long as it's a good one. Is there a bad one? Anyway, yeah, we are 13 laps from the end of this race. 3.90 gap at the front. Last lap, actually, Norris into the 19, so only half a second between the drivers. So there's definitely, when Piastri catches him, the grip will be there, won't it, with these fresher tyres? But yeah, it is. Whatever happens, even with a safety car, this is a straight fight between Norris and Piastri. In fact, Piastri could pit for a soft tyre as well, and I think still be ahead of Leclerc under a safety car if he wanted to. So, just making the point. They could both pit, make it interesting. Whoa, Norris is not catching Hamilton at any great speed, so he might be okay for traffic. But I don't think any dirty air from there, maybe. But we'll see. He'd have said on the radio, I think we'd have heard him complain. But here, look at this. This is Leclerc. Not only has Leclerc got Russell right with him, but Russell's got Albon and Sainz right behind him as well. I know they've just lapped them, but that's a distracting factor, I suppose. But I think George Russell, this is a matter of time, this one. It feels a bit inevitable, doesn't it? So I'd like a bit of a scrap between Norris and Piastri. Some elbows out. I don't want them... If they wipe each other out, it moves Alonso onto the podium, doesn't it? So maybe we do want them to wipe each other out. I don't know. But it would be nice just to see some great elbows out, wheel-to-wheel action, and forget papaya rules for 10 laps if that's when Piastri catches him. Would be nice. 7 tenths quicker on that last lap, by the way, Piastri than Norris. So Norris starts closing a bit more on Hamilton now, but still not really flying behind him. 19.9 for Norris, only a 19.7 for Piastri. So the gap is down by 0.2. So game is still on, but this is the battle we're watching at the minute. It's Leclerc. My leg's twitching. Leclerc versus Russell. I don't know why it's twitching. It looks inevitable, doesn't it? So I guess lots of battery power down the straight for Leclerc might help him here. Sainz has been told to swap position with Albon, or Albon's been told to switch position with Sainz. There we go. Sainz goes through. Leclerc still ahead for now. Matching each other in the first sector, the two McLarens, so nothing in that one. Yeah, ooh, graphics, yeah. I was just thinking, actually, if there's one thing the screen is lacking, it's more graphics. Yeah. Zach Brown very happy, as Sky are, the way the race has played out so far. Seem thrilled with that. I said no further action at Hulkenberg and Tsunoda, but we are, yeah, 5 laps according to, I guess that's an AWS graphic before they're close to each other to battle. But Norris has got Antonelli, Hadjar, Hamilton in front of him. He is starting to catch him a bit more now, so this could play a part. I'm amazed Racing Bulls haven't waved Max by. Yeah. I mean, 0.4 of a second between them. Lawson maybe with a little bit of a point to prove. I don't know, but Hadjar only 11th, by the way, but 1.1 behind Antonelli. So that's the battle for the final point. Hamilton's in that mix as well. Here goes George Russell at the inside of Charles Leclerc. That was a late move and a bit hard on the brakes, but didn't quite get that one done, George. And I think that might have compromised you down to turn 2, but I think Leclerc is using all his battery down that straight, or as much of it as he can, to defend. Uh, 0.6 difference in speed at the front, or pace, or lap time is what I was looking for in the end there, between Norris and Pierre. I got there in the end. I used the right words in the end. It's fine. But we're good. We're good. Leclerc, yeah. Norris has caught Hamilton and Co a bit quicker than I thought it was going to, actually. So this is going to be playing a part. And these guys, this isn't a nothing battle. This is a battle for the final point. So I hope they're watching their mirrors. Russell, that was moving under braking. I committed and he moved whilst braking, almost crashed into... Oh, no, come on. Come on, George. Oh, dearie me. It's the part of George Russell. Some people love that about it, but I just really can't. It's just very... Oh, sir. That's naughty from Leclerc. That's very naughty from Leclerc. I'll give George that one. That was a bit naughty. But the first one, no, not for me. But that's a frustrated Leclerc. But that's not Russell's fault that things are going wrong. And Leclerc is going to have a look. If we're going to get a safety car, this is where it'll be. Leclerc is not happy, is he? And there we go. Yeah, first one, I think that was fine from Leclerc. It was hard but fair. Second one, that was a bit cheeky. And that was a bit annoying. Yeah. A bit of annoyed Leclerc is what I was saying, but yeah. Anyway, that's that one done then. I don't think Russell will catch Piastri and Norris. Gap is 21.1 seconds. Should be fine. So is this the first one or the second one? So that's the second one. Yeah, second one was a little bit naughty from Leclerc. Yeah, yeah. That was a bit cheeky. Yeah. Again, fourth time. First one, fine. Second one, no, you can't do that. That's naughty. And then Russell straight on to tell the teacher what's going on, even though, you know, we could all see what's going on. But anyway. Like the stewards aren't watching. They've all gone to sleep like I'm sure some other people might have done. But gap is 1.5 seconds. The stewards have noted the incident. This is it then. 8 laps to go. Norris on the radio. The traffic is going to ruin my race, is what he said. Well, you say that. If he can get within a second of Hamilton, it might save his race because he'll get some DRS here. But yeah, this is a big moment in this. In fact, I feel like Piastri's closing a bit quicker than they said he would. I might be wrong. This last few laps has sort of flown by a bit, but 1.4 seconds a gap. Of course, Piastri's got the dirty air from Norris, but Norris got the dirty air from the traffic. It's not Platolobium, I agree, but it might be about to get very, very interesting at the front. Unless we end up with one of those after you, I'll bank second place moments, in which case I'll just turn it off and we'll go play Scrabble. Did that... What? Sorry, I just... Light spots of rain, Russell says on the team radio, but that could be sweat. So we don't know for sure. Do we 1.2 the gap at the front? 7/10 quicker on the last lap was Oscar Piastri. Gasly and Sainz has been noted for causing a collision. I did see when we were watching Russell and Leclerc battle, there was one of the blue cars, which I think was the Williams, went off track at turn 2. So I don't know if that's what that was about. I assume it would have been. But rain in the air, like I said, it could be sweat. Leclerc currently elite. Well, Leclerc and Bortoletto tied on driver of the day. Alonso's on 13%. So get your votes in on driver of the day. We'll do our driver of the day after the race is finished, when we've got the whole race to vote on. Yeah. But Hamilton has just got his first blue flag, Martin Brundle said. So that's what's not helping Lando here. But I tell you what, Russell and Leclerc is under investigation. I think Leclerc takes a penalty for the second incident. I think. Max Verstappen's got it all crossed up in turn 1. Do you know what, actually? That's one of the best onboards I've seen in the Red Bull this weekend, and he was still crossed up. Here's Gasly, and that's going to be so here's the... What are we watching here, then? That wasn't the fight. Gasly and Sainz, we need to keep watching that one. Hamilton has let the leaders through. The gap is 7/10 of a second, 6/10 of a second. We didn't see the lappage taking place there. But what we could do with is Antonelli and Hadjar just to get out of the way. They're not going to. They're fighting for a point. They will do when they have to, but we could just do them leaping out of the way now. So that is it then. That is the last of the traffic they will have to deal with. So it is then just a straight fight. Norris versus Piastri. It's all got very exciting all of a sudden, hasn't it? Doesn't say a lot, but, you know, it's more exciting than it was. Strategy intrigue. If I was still doing race reactions, that's what me and Stuart will be talking about after this. Strategy intrigue, unless something happens now. Who's going to win it then, guys? 5 laps to go, 6 laps to go. One surname, Norris or Piastri or George Russell. Who's going to win this one? Who's your money on right now? If I'm putting money on it, I'm putting money on Colapinto because you get a fortune back if you were right. But yeah, Piastri has DRS. Norris isn't close enough to the car ahead. 5 laps to go. Piastri closing in, and that's very good there. Hadjar gets well out of the way. Does he see Piastri? Yes, does he see Piastri? Yes, he does. Seems to take a while there to let Piastri go, but a little bit nervy there. This is going to be another McLaren 1-2 on the cards here. Is that 4 in a row? And people still keep arguing with me that McLaren don't have the dominant car, but you know, I assume those people are either stupid or blind, but they quite clearly have the quickest car, don't they? The dominant car. Antonelli, the next one. Hadjar having to defend against Lewis Hamilton there. He backed up a lot there, Hadjar, which is, you know, good to see because he needs to get out of the way, but I think it cost him big time against Lewis Hamilton. I think Norris maybe ought to, and it's all going to come down to how quick Antonelli is, but it wouldn't hurt Norris to just wait for some DRS here on Antonelli if he can get it, because it will give him an extra lap to defend against. There are drops of rain on the camera lens up at turn 12 and 13, you know, and Antonelli does get out of the way, and that is just before the DRS as well. So this is the fight then, Norris versus Piastri. Why do I feel this is going to end in tears? I don't know. Sorry about the dead air. I'm don't forget, Formula One fan first and foremost. So I might go quiet and start watching this a bit more than talking. But yeah. Half a second between them. Martin Brundle just explaining there about the advantage to the fresher tyres. I think we kind of know, don't we? But for newer fans, he'll come off that final corner much better with better traction. Out of the traction zones in general, he'll be better. But yeah, we've got 4 to go. I don't know why I've just got it in my head this is going to end in tears. I don't know why. And Russell's just going to pick up a win because that's what he does. Who is it that said it the other week? George does nothing, Russell. Bortoletto now leads the driver of the day split. Alonso second, Leclerc drops to third. Story of his race, that, isn't it, actually? Was leading, now third. Probably dropped to fourth in a minute. Yeah, good point. Not many overtaking opportunities. That's a very good point from, is it Lin Q? Turn 1, 2. Yeah, only 3 chances. You're right. Yeah, anyway, 10-second time penalty for car 10, which is Gasly causing a collision. Haven't seen a replay of that as far as I'm aware. 6/10. Oh, bit of a twitch on that final corner. I'm sure there was from Piastri, but he is closing. Is he going to have a look into turn 1? No. Oh, he had a look, and that got the crowd on their feet, didn't it, in the grandstand? Block the view. He didn't need to be throwing that in there, but he's just trying to put a bit of pressure on, I think, is Oscar Piastri. I don't know. This 23-point lead, 9-point lead, 10 laps to go. This feels like quite a massively important moment. I know you're going to go, well, duh, but it does. It feels like a big defining moment, a bit like Canada did. So, but there's such a long way to go, and between now and Abu Dhabi, Lando Norris will make mistakes. Oscar Piastri will make mistakes. McLaren will make mistakes. We'll get curveballs thrown into races, but Norris really has got to keep him there, hasn't he? Crofty says, what a sight this must be for the likes of Zach Brown. I bet he's absolutely cacking himself on the pit wall. Last thing he wants to do is have to answer questions on what's gone wrong. 7/10 this time around. I thought Piastri got a bit twitchy on the exit of the final corner last time. I might have been wrong. But still 6/10. I think Norris is fine at 6/10. It's whether or not Piastri wants to send it on the last lap is going to be... forget the last lap. Oh, and he nearly hits him. Oh, Oscar, what are you doing? You do that on the last lap, mate. There's no need to do that on the penultimate lap. I thought it was in the side of him then. He's going to have got a big flat spot now, so that's going to hurt him. But that's the sort of thing you do on the final lap, isn't it? Not the penultimate lap. I look a bit nervous at McLaren. It's always more fun when you're not supporting a team or driver, isn't it? When they can just go balls to the wall like this. We've got Axl Rose there waiting to fly the flag, but we've got another lap after this. Don't you dare. That was close. How close was it, though? Here's the on-board with Norris. Oh, close enough. You don't want any closer than that, Oscar. Goodness me. Oh. He's going to say he moved under braking. Oh, no, remember how we go racing. Same reminder, Oscar. So, remember how we go racing. This is Oscar's last chance, really. You go racing by not being... driving erratically penalty for Leclerc. 5 seconds. That's not a great shock. I think Norris is okay. Is he? He's not sent it because they haven't called it off, but they've certainly called it off, haven't they? Unless he has a go into turn 2. 5-second penalty for Leclerc. Shouldn't change his race position. He's 24 seconds clear of Fernando Alonso. So he's getting a penalty, which once again does nothing to his race. But that is Lando Norris, unless he makes a mistake, is probably going to be okay. But I'm just watching. I think Piastri's got... I think a flat spot's going to be hurting him a bit. But, I mean, you know... Maybe pull something out of the Michael Schumacher Ayrton Senna playbook. You could still go into the summer break with a 16-point gap. Oscar, that's not a serious comment. Don't you dare. That is not a serious comment. But he could. Oh, no, I didn't brake for that corner and I'm straight into the back of him. Oh, dear. But Lando Norris, it's been a race, and it got a bit interesting towards the end. But Lando Norris just about hangs on to win the Hungarian Grand Prix and go into the summer break with a 9-point deficit to his championship rival and teammate Oscar Piastri, who comes home second place. Good stuff from both of them there. Good racing. It got a little bit close at the end. I still think Piastri, ifs and buts, but I feel like Piastri would have had a better shot on the final lap if he just waited rather than doing what he did. George Russell, cracking drive actually, all afternoon into third place. Very much not in the fight with the McLarens, really. Just the 21 seconds off the lead, 22 seconds off the lead, but actually had some really good pace and drove well, and eventually got past the struggling and extremely frustrated Charles Leclerc. That makes things interesting into the summer break, doesn't it? But off for the final 10 races. Stick with me. A few people will disappear now because it is the end of the race. I completely understand that. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be live for another, I'd say half an hour, but you know me, probably another hour yet. But yeah, please do stick around if you want to ask some questions. I'm going to say something. I'll ask you a question in a minute because I'm intrigued by the answer. But yeah, thank you for joining me if you are going to disappear now and have the rest of your Sunday. But please do drop a like before you go and subscribe if you're new. Lots to come, as I keep saying. But I appreciate you spending your a couple of hours with me on a Sunday afternoon. Always great fun. But if you are sticking around, we'll run through the results shortly. I'll ask you that question and we will do some questions and then we'll wrap up for the summer break. Yes. Platalobium says he'll stay up. Going to crack into the beer. Probably shouldn't, but will. It's fine. If you're hungover tomorrow, it's fine. Lack of sleep. You'll be all right. I wonder how annoyed Piastri will be with the strategy. I mean, two sides of the garage, isn't there? So, but yeah, 9 points clear. It's not a big lead, but it's a lead, and you'd rather be in front, wouldn't you? But some people say it's better to be the hunter than the hunted. So, yeah, I really want to know what is going on with Ferrari. Intrigued by that post race. See if we get anything while we're live. I doubt it, but we'll see what they were saying. But yeah, so Lando Norris wins for McLaren. I'm going to go get a drink. Then I'll run through the order. Then we'll do some Q&A. But I'm going to ask you a question first. Because a conversation we keep having at work, I suppose, is people really don't seem to give, frankly, a shit about this championship battle. So my question is, how bothered are you about the championship battle? Do you care? Do you care who wins it? Do you just want a good fight? Or do you think that not having a Verstappen or a Hamilton up there just takes a bite out of it, is really my question. So let me know your answers in the chat. I think a championship fight is a championship fight. Great analysis again, and I want to see some great racing and a really good fight right down to Abu Dhabi, but some people really are not enjoying it. So that's my question to you. I'm going to get a drink, so we'll go quiet for 20 seconds. I'll then run through the order, then I'll take your answers to that question, and then we'll do some Q&A. So give me 20 seconds, count my pit stop. Hopefully it's my fastest of the season so far. That is possibly the weakest glass of cordial I've ever made. It tastes like water, but bitter. That's terrible. Anyway, I'll come to your answers in just a moment. Lando Norris has won the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix and goes into the summer break just 9 points behind teammate Oscar Piastri, who was in second place, 7/10 basically between them over the line. Piastri very close to contact with his teammate on the penultimate lap. Maybe should have waited another lap, but if ifs and buts were candy and nuts and all that business. So P2 for Piastri today. He is the championship leader, so more to lose, I suppose. So let's see what he does in the second half of the season. Could get tasty. George Russell, really good drive today, actually. Some good pace, as I said earlier. Third place in the end to take advantage of Leclerc's struggles, but actually had the pace to compete with Leclerc anyway, I think. Shame that Leclerc fell off like he did. P4, but it's actually decent points, but in that battle for second in the constructors, it is less, of course, than Mercedes take away. Fernando Alonso, cracking weekend, really, post back problems in FP1. Ever since then, he seemed unstoppable. P5 for him, and was actually only 16.5 seconds behind pole sitter Leclerc and 7.1 clear of Bortoleto. So great stuff from Alonso. Cracking drive again from Gabriel Bortoleto. I touched on it yesterday. I may put a little annotation or at least a pinned comment in the Hadjar video I'm doing. Right now, Hadjar is still rookie of the season for me, but if Bortoleto carries on as he is, if he's not there already, he's certainly going to be in the conversation come the end of the year. Great stuff for him in P6. Lance Stroll, actually really good drive in 7th place, 2 seconds off Bortoleto, and not a million miles away from his teammate, 9.1. Big enough for gap, isn't it? Liam Lawson continues his strong turnaround this season in 8th place, very much closer to the Liam Lawson we knew from back end of last year, certainly. So P8 for him. Max Verstappen, miserable weekend at Red Bull. 9th place for him. The car has just been, quite frankly, crap all weekend. It's as simple as that. There's no other way to put it. Awful. Even on board, you watch it on board, it's not the Red Bull we've come to know. So hopefully they can bounce back in Zandvoort, but he's already said, actually, Max Verstappen this weekend, he doesn't think he'll win a race this year unless there's some chaos. So there you go. P10 for Antonelli. A few people asked what was going on with Antonelli. Actually, that's a bad drive. He's getting 5 places on a track that's tough to overtake on, and managed to defend well to keep Hadjar at bay. So it's a point. It's not amazing, but from where he was on the grid, that's not bad at all. Isack Hadjar, like I say, in P11, just missing out on points. So could we say a better weekend for Hadjar based on how things have gone of late? It's not points, and he's still beaten by his teammate, but he seemed better today than he has been in recent races. Lewis Hamilton, I mean, started 12th, ended up finishing 12th. That's just not a good weekend at all. We talked about it at the start of the stream, not going on about it again. He's had his comments this weekend. Let's see what happens. 13th for Nico Hulkenberg, up 5 places. I did say he gained a few, so good stuff from him as well. 14th for Sainz, 15th for Albon, Ocon 16th, Tsunoda 17th, Colapinto 18th, Gasly 19th, and Bearman retired late on with car damage. In terms of the championship, like I say, 9 points between them at the top now. Piastri 9 clear of Norris. Verstappen now a long way off in 3rd. But Max Verstappen needs to watch out, because if these problems continue for Red Bull, George Russell is only 15 points behind him in 4th place. So that could be a fun fight to watch. Does anyone care who finishes 3rd? I don't. Charles Leclerc 5th on 151 points, with Lewis Hamilton now on 109 in 6th place. Antonelli 7th. That point today keeps him where he was anyway, but 64 points in total. Alex Albon still on 54 points in 8th, Hulkenberg 9th, and Ocon in 10th place. Alonso, just bearing in mind how tough it's been for Alonso at times this season, how long it took him to score, is now actually only a point behind Ocon for 10th place. He's got 26 points. Lance Stroll on 26 points as well. So that's a really great stuff from the Aston Martins there, turning their season around this weekend. Isack Hadjar has 22 in 13th. It's 20 for Pierre Gasly in 14th. It's 20 as well for Liam Lawson in 15th. Carlos Sainz has 16th. Bortoleto 14th. Tsunoda still only 10. And most of those came at Racing Bulls, didn't they? Bearman 8 points for him in 19th, and Colapinto yet to score, as he's doing, of course. McLaren, I mean, it's close in the constructors, isn't it? 559 plays, 260. Joke again. Can anyone catch them? No. Ferrari still in 2nd place. 14 points clear, 24 points clear, something like that of Mercedes. I can't obviously the maths on the fly there. 3rd place for them. Red Bull now really starting to fall away in 4th place. Williams in 5th. They are 28 clear of Aston Martin in 6th. Had to double check that. 7th for Sauber now. They do drop a place, but still 51 points this season. I don't think many would have predicted that at the start of the year. Racing Bulls actually dropped to 8th now on 45 points. Haas 9th on 35, and Alpine have 20 points in last place. That kind of shows how tight it is in the midfield and how one great weekend for one team can really turn things around. Sauber today scored 8 points. Racing Bulls got 4, but they both drop a position because Aston Martin picked up 16. So if you're a fan of the Constructors' Championship, Kevin, then that's the battle to watch, is the fight for maybe P2, but certainly that fight for P5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and all that business. So keep an eye on that one for sure, Kevin. I'm going to read your questions. Thank you as well to Sab Mariners fan, who's not from Grimsby. He says, this is going to sound sacrilegious, but Hungary genuinely is better than Spa at the moment. It's produced really good strategy races from 21 to 25. For racing, maybe. I think as a spectacle, I'd still rather watch cars around Spa. But from a strategy point of view, like you say, probably, yeah. But or a good argument for that, at least. But I'd still rather watch cars around Spa than most of the tracks. So there you go. Let's get back to this. So I did ask the question, because we're getting the feeling that nobody really cares, and I've never asked it. So I wanted to ask, do you really care about the championship situation? So let's try and find where you all started putting your opinions in. Bear with me for a second. I will find it. There's been a few comments since. So Cited Canvas, I think, is the first one. Says, not bothered, just happy it's not the same guy again. Manufacturers Championship is most important, says dash cams. There you go. Kevin's got a friend. Maya says, I need Piastri to win, or Pastry Man to win. John says he's not bothered. Surprises no, says absolutely care about it. Nick the Greek says it's not exactly Senna-Prost, is it? I think that's kind of where I'm at. Like I said yesterday, there's no bite in the championship at the moment. I don't necessarily want it, but if Piastri had ploughed into the side of Norris today in that moment on the penultimate lap, that spices it up. Do you know what I mean? So there's no bite in it. So I care about the championship because I want to see who's going to win it, and I want to, if Norris wins it, I'll be happy for him. If Piastri wins it, I'll be happy for him, and certainly Australia as well, of course. Been a long time. But it's not as... I guess we're spoiled when you look back through history, aren't we, with 21. Quickly brush over that one. And then all the other ones that we've seen, Prost versus Senna, even Schumacher Alonso in 2006 was quite fun at times. And, it's just no bite in it, I think, is my problem. But I do care about it. I think it's crazy to be not caring, I suppose, but each their own, of course. I'd be happy with either Lando or Oscar. Personally, I'm rooting for Norris, but it is interesting, says Fudd. It's annoying McLaren are favouring Lando, says John. Kieran says, I think it's just Sky biases that ruins it. Piastri is just chilling. You can't really get behind him. He is a great driver, but has a lack of spirit, if that makes any sense, if this was Verstappen versus Piastri. Yeah, that coolness with Piastri, though, was tested at Silverstone, wasn't it? And we saw that there is another side, and that got people talking. So there is a good possibility that he's going to, not snap sounds bad, but he's going to snap before the end of the season. We're going to start to get some spicy stuff. But I don't really get the not being able to get behind Piastri, because I really can get behind him, because I think he's my kind of driver, isn't he? He's that kind of cool, calm, collected, not old school, but a bit more old school than, say, Lando Norris is, for example. So maybe my old man bias, I don't know, but that's how I feel. I do like Oscar Piastri a lot, but then I don't dislike Lando Norris either. So either's fine. But if you could go into the finale level, that could be good fun. I don't know if it's too soon for Hamilton fans for me to make jokes, but if they go into the finale level, should we get Michael Massey back for the weekend? Why not, eh? That'll keep people talking over the winter, or for 5 whole years, nearly. Yes, I care, says Platolovium. It's been so long since an Aussie won a title. Alan Jones back in 98, it was the last one. I really want to see Oscar win it this year. That's my argument for Piastri, Platolovium. It's been so long. We've had British world champions lately, haven't we? So it'd be nice to see an Aussie do it. But I also have to caveat that, as I'm sure you can appreciate, because it's the internet, but that doesn't mean I have a problem with Lando Norris. I would just like to see Piastri do it. I think the Norris-Piastri fight is becoming more and more interesting, actually, says Lizzie. Certainly more interesting than it was at the start of the season, or earlier, or even a few races ago. I think Austria, for me, was when it started to get a little bit more intriguing and a bit, not tetchy, but a little bit more edgy, I suppose. Then Silverstone, and then this weekend. I think it's starting to come to life, but it's not the same as, boom, Hamilton versus Verstappen at the start of the season, but then is anything ever going to do that again? It's close with a long way to go. Anything can happen from here. DNF or second. Sorry, DNF or 2, and suddenly it's a big gap, says Mark. Very good point. I don't think McLaren have favoured Norris in this race at all, says Neelish. We haven't seen Australian champions since the year I was born, so yes, we need Piastri to win, says Adrian. I don't have a dog in the fight, but I am enjoying seeing Lando and Oscar fight as hard as they are, says Killjoy. Not that bothers, says Anushka, but yeah, I want Piastri to win, or Pastry to win. Darren feels like McLaren screwed Oscar over. Reclusive Duck says, loving this title battle, but it needs more needle between the drivers. They're too nice to each other. That's what I was saying. Yeah, absolutely. I know your comment came in earlier, but just to... It's nice to know I'm not alone on that point. people are enjoying it, but they'd like it to be a bit more spicy. Gingerfest, I think the fact this championship battle has been relatively safe and they haven't been wheel to wheel that often is why people aren't as concerned. Piastri scared McLaren from his near crash, his own fault, says Nilesh. Lando's best win, ? Says Novelty Robot. Give me 2 minutes. I'll go and check the season chart. I'm trying to think. I think there's another one that was a bit more impressive than that. Very good win. Don't get me wrong. To make the tyres last that long and to fend off Piastri, but I still think there's. I'm sure there's another one. Somebody might say it in chat before I get there, but there might be another one that beats that. But it's up there. It's definitely up there. It's not the same as trying to pick Schumacher's best win, of course, or Hamilton's. There's not quite as many to choose from, but you get my point. American. Oh no, we wouldn't. Having a conversation between yourselves. I won't read that one. Lando needed that, says Fudd, to get into the break with less than 10-point gap and a win is going to be so good for his self-esteem. Just trying to find out if there's anything else. I want to read as many from those that answer the question, because I did ask a question, so least I can do is read it. If I do miss any, I do apologise. I'm just sort of trying to fly through here. I'm probably going to get down in a minute and get a bunch of Hamilton fans telling me off for joking about 2021, but Ollie Bearman did retire from the race late on with I think damage, I think he said on the radio, didn't he? Or the team told him on the radio. So a lot of people questioning what Ferrari were doing. Stickerbrick says McLaren have run away with it. Yeah, it's close out there, isn't it? Read the championship. I just saw another one there and now it's disappeared. Sorry. The chat likes to do that from time to time. So if that was you, I think it might have been Kevin before I started shouting at him for being a fan of the constructors. I can't see it again now, but if that was you who started your message, there you go, Kevin. Read the championship. When you hear papaya rules, it just makes the fans think the battle won't get exciting, or it's being controlled and manipulated. Fair point. Schumacher took 4 seasons to win a championship with a test track at his disposal, says Dashcam. Debuted in 91, halfway through the season, and won in 94. It depends how you count your years. I suppose 91 will be his first year, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, it would be 4, but season's 4, years 3. But he was driving a Jordan for one of those races and a Benetton that wasn't where it needed to be. But, look, anybody tried to dump on Schumacher or not dump on him, but tried to put down what he's done is never going to work with me. So you're barking up the wrong tree there with that one. That's an argument that ain't going to happen. I can't. The chat keeps scrolling back down to the bottom, so I might miss it. CPB says definitely care about the drivers as title fight is on. If I've missed anything else, I do apologise, but thank you if you did put a response into that question. I just can't sit for the next 20 minutes going because it'll annoy people. So let's just scroll through. Just make sure, just if there's anything that spots, but otherwise, I always enjoy title fights. Somebody said there, and then it resets. So I think it was Gingerfest, especially as a McLaren fan this year. So there we go. Thank you for answering that one. Have you got any more questions, by the way? Throw them in the chat. I mean, don't throw them. You might take someone's eye out, but pop them in the chat, and then I'll answer a few before the stream finishes, and then we'll go from there. But I won't be live for too much longer because I've got quite a lot to do this evening. Sam, who should be doing some of that work for me so I can go have a lie down, says definitely prefer a 2-team driver fight. Papaya draining the life out of it for me. Inter-team isn't the same as a... Mercedes versus Red Bull or Ferrari versus McLaren, is it? So I can understand that as well. But it's at least we've got a fight. What if we come into this season and one of these two just nailed it from day one, won all but one race, and were absolutely miles clear in the championship? It would all be meant it was boring, wouldn't we? So it may be inter-team rather than multiple team, but at least we've got something. At least we got something. Did anyone hear what was wrong with Charles' car? I didn't, Kevin, but with the power of Sky, and I'm sure other technology as well. I don't know why I said that in a Joanna Lumley voice, but I did. I can rewind to the point where he said, I'm pissed off, if he was on there or anything, but I don't think his interview will be in yet, will it? From I'll tell you actually where I might find it. I'll shut up a second. Shut my damn mouth. Let's have a look if there's anything in the group chat yet. No. Nothing yet. So hopefully hopefully we'll get some stuff in there soon. But I will try and keep an ear out to the Sky coverage post-race. That's how much I love you. And then we'll see what is said for Leclerc's problems. Has anyone noticed as well, if you're watching Sky, I don't know when this happened, but their graphic used to be 3 drivers, and they took it down to 2. Have they accepted it is just Norris versus Piastri now? Maybe. I'm not even gonna get drawn into that conversation. I don't do rage bait. I can't be bothered with it. My response would be to grow up, but I'm not going to get into that today. Sportsmate said Ferrari got baited so hard into that second pit stop. I think that's the one, wasn't it? We were sort of touching on it. Premier League back on the 15th, thank God. The other love of my life, not my partner, Formula One and football, and then the dog obviously is top of the list. So, dog, Formula One, football, spag bowl, ice cream, a few more on that list yet. But we were talking about it at the time. We weren't sure on strategy. We felt like the first call was the right call to cover off Piastri in the timing, but it was that second call where we sort of thought, should they have tried something different? And yeah, was it Norris that pulled the bluff on them? And then they pitted, didn't they, in response to that? So yeah, a little bit. That's probably the big question mark over strategy, but there's something. I want to know what's wrong with the car, if there is anything. Just some guy says, who is your Prem team? Well, you know how I'm a real glutton for punishment by supporting Ferrari. Well, I'm a Man United fan. So you can imagine the last few years have been a bit depressing at F1 Word HQ. So yeah, I'll survive. I'll be fine. Get that out of my chat, CPB. I'm not having that. I'll block it. You're blocked. I'm not having it. Hot take, says Curious. We love a hot take. Says McLaren will take Verstappen next year. For next season, or do you mean for 27? Because if you mean for next season, that is a hot take. That is the hottest of hot sources of takes. But if you mean for 27, I mean, it's not impossible. If Norris and Piastri start running into each other in the second half of this year and then carry on into next year, then they might want to make a driver change. Maybe a Verstappen-Norris or Verstappen-Piastri swap. I don't think they will. But stranger things have happened in F1. But yeah, if it's for 2026, good lord. I need some milk after that one. That's how spicy that take was. That's ridiculous. It's all up to Jos where Max goes. It's all up to Jos what anything happens at Red Bull these days. I don't know, is he employed by the team or does he just turn up and boss people around? Maya says hot take, Max will rage quit F1. I think that is more likely than him going to McLaren, but I don't think Max will rage quit F1 either. So just to be clear, but there you go. That would be a huge bombshell. It would indeed. Platalobi, with that, you'd be on another beer. You'd be cracking that one open straight away. Well, rest assured, if Lewis Hamilton... Well, here's the problem, right? If Lewis Hamilton, let's play the social media game and believe what people are saying, if he announces his retirement next Friday on the 8th, I will be live. And we'll be able to react to it then. If Verstappen does it, and he rage quits or goes to McLaren, I'll be live for that as well. So you'll soon be able to... We'll get the beers out then. Platalobium, definitely. But I will say, if any drivers announce their retirement between the 9th and the 24th, then you'll have to wait for a reaction from me because I'll be on hollybobs. Oh, I said hollybobs. No. That's my mum. No. Oh, God. Happy for Alonso. Solid fifth, says Kevin. Great job by Stroll today, says J Webb. Yeah, actually, great qualifying yesterday. I'll defend him again. I did it earlier from Autosport's joke on social media about how Alonso's back was bad, but he still carried the team this weekend. Well, Lance Stroll was qualified 6th and he finished 7th, so shut up. Let's have some actual analysis rather than worry about the clicks. Yeah, that's a good weekend from Stroll, I think. I'm still not 100% sure what's going on with Aston Martin. I still think they've just stolen a McLaren and painted them orange, or papaya, sorry. But yeah, great 16 points overall for them today. So really good stuff. And they've jumped up to 6th in the standings. So some money in that as well, potentially. Really enjoyed that. Camshafts is probably the last race for Colapinto, question mark. So with the Doohan thing, I said at the start of the season he'd be gone by Miami. I think he got Miami and then was gone, wasn't he? So I wasn't far off. I could read, you could see that coming. With Colapinto, I can't read it at all. I really can't read it. Let me just get it up. Let's have a look. What F1 2025 Cizione. There we go. Let's have a look. So him and Jack Doohan neither scored any points. Colapinto, let's go with his last 6 races versus Doohan's first 6, because I won't count the first 2 for Colapinto because he had no pre-season. So last 6 races, 15th, 13th, 15th, did not start, 19th, 18th. Jack Doohan, DNF, 13th, 15th, 14th, 17th, DNF. Has Colapinto, he's not been any better, but he's not been that much worse, is my analysis of the swap there. The difference is, would Doohan be further along in his development now had he been given the full season to this point? That's where the debate is. But the one thing Colapinto has done is he's bought Alpine a lot of money with him, depending on what you believe. Some people say the sponsors haven't paid up, others say they have. But if the sponsors haven't paid up, he'd be gone, I think. But that's the gain, isn't it? Is the money that he brings. But I'm not sure. I mean, they were chasing Bottas. That now looks like it's going to be a move to Cadillac. Apparently he moved ahead of Perez in that fight there for that seat. Still think they should take both of them. But anyway, so who do you replace him with? I mean, you put Paul Aaron in there. He's only got 10 races between now and the end of the season in a car that he's not tested. He's done his FP1 outings with Sauber, so he's not really driven that Alpine outside of the simulator, so he's then going to have to get in, so that gives him time to get up to speed. How do you really judge the driver you want for next year? I think Alpine would be better if it was, again, if I was Flavio Briatore, which thank God I'm not, but if I was, because I wouldn't want to make this call, I would leave Colapinto there to the end of the season, because at least you're, if everyone pays up, getting paid, and then look at the driver situation once the market settles down and see who's available. Because I don't see the point in putting Aaron in there just to burn through him, and putting Doohan back in would just admit you were wrong. So Flavio Briatore, not a fan of admitting he's right. I don't know. I'm not sure. I just don't think Colapinto's been... He's certainly not the Colapinto we saw in his first few races with Williams. And he's not really hit the ground running. A lot of people said, a couple of people said last week about the crash in Imola really denting his confidence, but that was a while ago now. And I don't see it. I don't think he's taking any steps forward. Doohan wasn't great, don't get me wrong, but I felt like he was just starting to get to grips with things, and I just saw a bit more potential there, whereas Colapinto just isn't doing it, and it's a bit frustrating because he's a driver I like, but the noise at the moment from Alpine seems to be that they'll stick with him, so I don't know. Doohan had just out-qualified Gasly when they dropped him. He was really dropped as soon as Flavio brought Colapinto. If 94-year-old Bernie says retire, you should retire, lol, says Kevin. Platolobian will put Jack back in the car. Adrian says, thanks for the coverage, Sean. Enjoy your week ahead. Cheers. Thank you very much, Adrian. Thanks for popping along, get involved in chat and whatnot over the weekend. Hopefully see you for Zandvoort in 4 whole weeks. It's a long time without you all. How will I cope? But yeah, thank you, Adrian. Appreciate that, mate. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and your week as well. Dashcam says, I met Lewis at Brands Hatch. He was doing fast laps at lunchtime in his McLaren. I asked him when he was going to drive for Ferrari. He smiled but didn't reply. I said it would be a great way to see out his retirement. There you go. Dashcam knew before any of us. In fact, I'm going to give you credit for working on the deal early doors. There you go. You should get in touch and try and get a percentage. What if Ferrari is solidly the second team, but Team 1's loophole exploit gets nerfed for 27, then Ferrari are 1 for 27? That's Neelish. I'd like Ferrari to be number 1 for 27. I'd like Ferrari to be number 1 for next year, frankly, but yeah. Peter says that Colapinto Williams' car was more stable than the Alpine. I would probably say as well, Peter, the Williams environment was probably more stable than Alpine as well, wasn't it? I mean, he probably doesn't know who his boss is going to be day to day, from week to week. Sorry, I mean, he got what? He was reserve driver under Ollie Oakes. Then Flavio Briatore took over. Now we've got, I've forgotten his name, Steve Nielsen coming in on the 1st of September. And now there's all the talk that Christian Horner's going to be going there in some kind of capacity, maybe investing in the team. Let's see what happens in the next 12 months. But definitely a better environment behind the scenes at Williams. So, yeah, just not good. Not good at Alpine. And it's a shame, actually, because, as I've said before, the Enstone team will always have a special place in my heart. So hopefully they could turn that around. Renault seem committed, though. The new Renault boss, whose name I've forgotten again. I did try to remember that today, but I've forgotten again. Who's taken over from Luca Di Maio, has said that they are committed to keeping Alpine in F1. So maybe things will start turning around with somebody at the very top, maybe giving it a shake. But I will say, whoever's team principal at Alpine, if it's Steve Nielsen for the September 1st, which it will be, there's only one person in charge, and it ain't the team principal. The Williams was just as twitchy as the Alpine. Williams better works fair indeed, says Paula. It's so painful to see how much they underperform like this, says Dane. It's the same. It's not as, obviously it's his first season really. I mean, he struggled at Mercedes, didn't he, since 22, but it's first season where we've really seen him that downbeat. And it does feel, with respect to Fernando, a bit less tetchy than Fernando was and a bit less grumpy old man. But it does feel like, you remember Fernando went off and take his sabbatical for a couple of years. It feels a bit like that, like Lewis is sort of done, but it might just be this weekend overall. We've seen before. He might get to Zandvoort, have a great weekend, top 5 finish, and be very happy, but at the moment he really is, I don't want to say, rock bottom sounds really dramatic, doesn't it? Yeah. Maybe it's the job, I don't know, but it just feels really flat and fed up, and I hope that these new cars are going to give him a boost next year and give Ferrari a boost as well. But yeah, it's somehow still a mess today for Ferrari, full stop. The joys of yesterday very quickly disappeared. Still haven't seen Leclerc, by the way, on TV, but I will keep an eye on what's going on in the group chat, see if anything is said in there. But yeah, real frustrations today. Lewis in a car he didn't have any influence over. That, do you know, actually, Dashcam, that's a point I saw somebody make the other day. It might have been on TV. I say somebody. It might have been on TV. But yeah, this is... even a 2007 McLaren, he would have been involved in, wouldn't he, behind the scenes before his debut year, because he was their junior, so he would have been involved somewhere in that. So not quite to the extent that he would have been at Mercedes, but yeah, no input at all. But he didn't have any input in the Mercedes in 2013 and did really well in 2013, considering where that car was. So I mean, it was, I think, second fastest car. Is that fair? 2013 Mercedes was at least eventually the second fastest car, but he did all right there to start with. But I think the regulations don't suit him, and then to change teams in those regulations, different team, different engine, different culture, completely different in every way. Ferrari are not the same as any other team, except they put a car out with 4 wheels on, which is somehow a miracle. But yeah, and they have 2 drivers. That's basically their only similarities with everybody else in Formula One, isn't it? So tough, I would imagine. And you've got to remember as well, he's not going up against a teammate that's just starting out either. He's going up against a very quick driver in Leclerc, who's been at that team since 2019. Yeah, because he was at Alfa Romeo Sauber in 18, wasn't he? And then he did 19, and then Vettel got the boot in 20. Yes, it would have been 2019. So he's been there a long time as well as Leclerc. So I also don't forget how long Leclerc's been in F1. Perhaps Ferrari should try running a 6-wheel car. Might do him some good, yeah. Anything on today's race that you want me to talk about, or any questions? We'll do till 4:30 UK time, so 18 minutes, and then we'll call it there for the weekend. And for the... It's not the first half of the season. I always count the summer break as a halfway point, even though we are already into the second half of the season, but you know what I mean. So any questions there? Oscar almost T-boned Lando. That was quite a moment, camshaft. Off board, it looked close. On board, it was a little bit like, ooh. Zach Brown probably nearly had a heart attack. That would have been a moment, wouldn't it? But does Red Bull even know Tsunoda's driving that other car? I mean, Platolobian has deleted the message because it got a bit confusing. I assume he's on another beer, so it's fine. We'll see. Corn says Max Knight's ready to retire. Not quite. I don't know how serious the Mercedes thing was in the end, but I do wonder if there's a bit of regret there. We'll see. But I think he'll be... If Red Bull struggle next year, he'll be at Mercedes for 27. That's my early prediction. Platolonium's had another go. Does Red Bull Racing even know Tsunoda is driving the other car? Do they know they've got another car? Well, they did today because we think, me and chat, that maybe they were just trying out the soft to see what it was like, and maybe that would help Verstappen. But I mean, I feel like, and again, I don't want to step on too many points I'm going to make in the summer breaking content, but in video, sorry, but I do feel like Lauren McKee seems more keen to recognise the fact it's a two-car team. He gave Tsunoda that update, didn't he, between sessions in Spa, which helped him. Don't forget, Tsunoda was only a 10th off Verstappen yesterday. Yes, Verstappen's having a shocking weekend in that car, but he was only a 10th away, so that is either that's progress for Yuki or it's backwards progress for Verstappen, but maybe a bit of both. And McKee's has said that the key for them, if I bet I can't find it now, but I think he said something along the lines of the key for them is giving Tsunoda the car that he needs to perform. So he's recognising that and acknowledging that. And I know that Christian Horner will have said similar things in the past, but because McKee's has worked very closely with Tsunoda in the past, he seems to like him, they get on well. I think he will get behind him a bit more. But they're still going to lean towards Max Verstappen. But now that Verstappen is struggling, bear this in mind in Zandvoort when he surprises all and takes pole position and wins the bloody race. But you know what it's like. But with Verstappen now struggling at the moment, certainly this weekend, it might force Red Bull to look at the other car a bit more as well. So we'll see. Summer break money for a beer in the sun. Also think the Lando Oscar battle is going to get spicy. Thank you very much, Valentine. Appreciate the super chat there and the beer money. My mum and dad came back from Malta a couple of weeks ago, and they bought me 3 bottles of red wine and a bottle of Jack Daniels. So I may not be alive for Zandvoort. I know what I'll do for the summer break. So I'm going to be an alcoholic for 2 weeks. There you go. Just sleeping. Yeah, thank you very much, mate. Appreciate the support there, and then the super chat, of course, and you continue support just generally, actually. So Red Bull, a one-car team, says Dashcam. Jules says, does Leclerc and Hamilton have the same setup? They've got the same car, not literally, of course, but they've got the same car. They'll have different setups because Leclerc will want it a certain way to his driving style, and Hamilton will want it to his driving style. So it's the same car. There's no, as far as I'm aware, there's no situation like at Red Bull where they're favouring one driver over the other. But in terms of, that's what I assume you mean. But in terms of setup, they will be different. But yeah, I don't think there's anything for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because do you know what? I lump it all into one reason. Firstly, why would they? What do Ferrari stand to gain from favouring Leclerc over Hamilton? Except that they'll have paid an absolute fortune for a driver who they're now not backing. If there was a championship fight between the two of them or with another team, maybe we could look at that. But I think the way Ferrari are at the moment, there's no point to doing it. So that's kind of my point lumped in there. But yeah, Dashcam says that's why Christian got the sack. I don't. As I'm sure you can understand now, because of the channel is now a part of Planet Sport, I get to read a lot and I see a lot that I can't say. But the stuff around Christian Horner it feels so, ready for this, multifaceted. For pretentious for saying that, but that's how it feels. It doesn't feel like it's just it was performance or it was Verstappen or it was this, or it feels like there were a lot of things involved in that. So I believe performance will have been a part of it, because why would it not be? They're not performing. So, if your team is not performing in football, your manager gets the sack. If your supermarket isn't making money, your manager's going to get sacked. It's the way the buck stops with the manager. We've seen it so many times, and actually Formula One feels like it's becoming more like football when it comes to team bosses, doesn't it, at the moment? So, but you could even argue, is there a question mark over next year? Well, there's so much that you could kind of like theorize around the whole Christian Horner exit. Things like, have they had warnings over the Red Bull powertrain and Ford power unit for next year? But then other people are saying that it's hitting its targets. But what are those targets? Is the car bad? Is it so many questions? I mean, I tell you, who's Pierre Vachier is one to keep an eye on, or Vachier is one to keep an eye on for next year. If that 26 Red Bull is bad, he's going to be in trouble. But yeah, I don't think it's just a one issue thing that got Horner sacked. I think a lot of big things and a few little things came together, and it just felt like the right time for the team to make that move. Having said that, I was surprised. I'm still surprised by the timing. I'm just keeping it on the TV, so I am paying attention to the chat and what you're saying. But we might be getting on Leclerc here, because they're just replaying his radio from the race. Here he is. So I'll go quiet for a second. We're intrigued by this, aren't we? See what he's going to say. The question being thrown at him. Okay. Problem on the chassis is what he's saying. So he sort of said there that he spoke too quickly on the radio, because when he got out the car, he got some more information. It wasn't the problem he thought it was. It was a problem with the chassis, and they're going to have a look and it doesn't make it feel any better, but they'll have a look and make sure it doesn't happen again. So I wonder what that could be on the chassis side. Different issue to what was earlier on in the season, he's saying there as well. So, okay. He said he don't think it means something they have anywhere else again. So, yeah. So around lap 40, he starts to get the problem. So there you go. So it's a chassis issue. Those of you in chat who are more technically minded than me, what do you think? Chassis issue. Damage somewhere? I can't think where it got damaged. I'm just trying to think, maybe a crack or something. I don't know. Yeah. It's just really strange, because he had great pace in qualifying, or good pace in qualifying to get pole position. His pace early in the race was really good. Yes, Piastri may have been saving a bit, but he still seems to be able to match you when Piastri did up the pace. And then it all fell apart, like you said, around lap 40, didn't it? So that's really strange. McLaren just thought it was a new chassis. Ride height's a good point, Neelish. Could be. It's a Ferrari issue, says Dashcam. Yeah. Platalobi says Horner should have been sacked a long time ago. At least we have the answer to Leclerc there, but we haven't. That's probably maybe we're alone, but that's raised more questions than it's answered. I kind of almost wish he hadn't said. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, a team is only interested in team championship. Absolutely. That's where the money is. Vachier is gone, says Clansom. It's all pinned on next year of him for sure. A few people discussing Checo. I think Christian was battling for sharing a Red Bull team, and that was a big part of the problem, Kevin. Maybe. I know he wants to own a team, but that maybe wasn't an option at Red Bull, so I think he might do this. What I mean, Toto with Mercedes, for example. I think he might try and do the same, Horner with Alpine. Or maybe he'll sit down and talk to Otmar Safnauer, who's looking at bringing a 12th team to the grid. So let's see. It could be sat while the team was winning, says Clansom. He's saying chassis issue, but I would think it was a floor crack. Bernie says we can't say what that could be. We talked about the ride height. Ferrari must still be checking, says Nick. Kaori says smash the like button. Absolutely. I'm not going to... that's a conversation between you two, so I'll not get into that, because I'll only put half of the conversation across and maybe cause you problems. But yeah, we've got another 8 minutes, so I'll keep an eye on what's going on Sky. But if you've got any questions for the rest of this season or the race itself, do let me know in chat. We've got a few minutes yet. Like I said, I'll have to finish at 4:30 because I need to go get with some other bits before Thomas lobs this video at me later, which I need to edit for tomorrow. Yes, maybe some paracetamol, Valentine. That video, by the way, from Thomas from the paddock will be out around somewhere between 2 and 4 p.m. tomorrow, just depending on how quickly we get titles and thumbnails and things sorted. So, who do you think will win the title? Says Corn66. I think it's gonna be a McLaren. Yeah. Sorry, Corn. I'm doing a video in a couple of weeks in the summer break where I'm going to do the championship predictions. So I don't want to give away what I'm thinking. So I apologise for being a knob. But yes, it's between Norris and Piastri. I'll give you that, Corn. But I want to give you a shout out just to mention your name there. It's good to see you in chat. So there we go. Nick the Greek, lots of one-car teams. Red Bull are a 4-car team. Yeah, good point. Lots of one-car teams on the grid now, do you mean? Because if so, that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to work this one out now. Yeah, it could be Leclerc on. I mean, you never know. It could be Russell. George does nothing Russell. I mean, McLaren aren't a one-car team. I mean, you could argue Mercedes are a bit like that with Russell and Antonelli, the difference between them, but I don't think they aspire to be a one-car team, do they? Ferrari, you could argue the same, but again, don't think they will. Aston, they are a one-car team. Lance Stroll, of course. Racing Bulls, no. If you mean in history, lots of one-car teams in history, of course, but actually, that's a good point. Maybe in the build-up to the qualifying watch-along stream for Zandvoort in a few weeks' time, I might get the teammate battles up and we'll have a look at them and just see what the differences are. That'd be interesting. I was being sarcastic. Everyone calling Red Bull a one-car team. Fair enough, Nick. Well, I mean, yeah. Every team's got one car, but many have got a second. So there you go. Do you honestly think Hamilton will retire next week? No, I don't, CPB. Mainly because had he not put the announcement out that he was going to make an announcement on the 8th. By the way, I hate this announcing an announcement. Says a guy who schedules his live streams, but that's not the point, right? It's the that just annoying. But even if he hadn't done that, his comments yesterday might have made me go, maybe. But I don't think his announcement on the 8th of the 8th has anything to do with his future in F1. I might look a fool in a week's time with that statement. In fact, I likely will, because I am a fool. But I don't think he'll retire. I think he'll stick it out, get through the second half of this year, or the final 10 races, try the new era, see how it goes. If Ferrari is still struggling and he's still struggling and he doesn't like the new cars, then he might retire at the end of next year. I just don't... I don't see why a driver of that experience wouldn't want to at least try these new regs that are supposed to make the cars more racy, but then the more you hear from the drivers, the less likely that sounds. But they're supposed to make the cars more racy and all this. So I think you'll want to give that a go. But what I will say is if Lewis Hamilton is considering retiring at any point in the next year or whatever, please do it in 2027, just because then it's 2007 to 2027, and that just feels like a nice little, like tied off with a bow, just perfect. I don't think he'll retire, CPB. Well, he will retire, but I don't think he'll be retiring this year yet. I mean, it depends. Look, if he has a weekend like this in Zandvoort and then has another one in Monza and another one in Baku and then Singapore, he might turn around and go, do you know what? Screw this. But I think he'll stick it out for next year. But 2027 would be nice. And exactly, every driver wants to drive for the red team. Even those who say they don't are lying. Everyone wants to be a Ferrari driver at some point. If they can go with the mental strength it clearly needs, then good luck to them. But No, not for me. I can't tell what happens to Max in this GP. He performed not so dominantly this GP. Sorry, it has a choke. I'm okay. To be honest, I just... The car's been cack all weekend. If you watch the onboards, which I've done because obviously Verstappen fan as well as Ferrari fan, so I keep an eye on him all weekend, but it just on board, he just didn't look like... It, maybe exaggerating slightly, but it felt like he'd never driven the car before. But then from what Red Bull are saying, the car's never done this before for Max. So it's just a bad car this weekend, and nothing he could do could turn that around. It was difficult to slow the car down. It was difficult to, go. It wasn't smooth driving through the corners. It just looks a mess on board. It looked like Verstappen had been given a second Red Bull for the weekend, is what it looked like. So that's that's maybe the simple way to look at it. But I think this is whilst Max Verstappen has said he doesn't think he'll win a race this year without chaos, I think this is probably a one weekend thing. I think at Zandvoort he'll be back as the outsider for pole position, and maybe if something happens, nicking a win or getting himself on the podium. But I don't think there's anything specifically wrong with the car. I just think this track has exposed that it is generally not a great car, and there's a lot of support to the argument that Max Verstappen really is extracting everything out of it with those wins that he got earlier in the year and the performances he's put in. He is the also what the different factor. What's the word I'm looking for? The difference. That'll do. That said, the car is more geared towards him, so he will be the difference. But yeah, just a bad car this weekend. It's so weird, so weird. I don't think there's anything specific. Liam says Ferrari are utter clowns. What changed from quality to the race? If we knew the car had issues, why not tell Charles? So can we just also Tsunoda's trash at Red Bull needs replacing. And then says, if I'm Fred, I'm sacking lots of people in the team. Massive change needed. Well, Leclerc's come out and said that the problem that he thought it wasn't, and it's actually a chassis problem. With I think Bernie Collins suggesting it might have been a crack in the chassis. So the thing that Leclerc was complaining about on the radio wasn't actually the problem with the car, if that makes sense. So it's not, there was nothing he could do about it. You can't manage that in a race. There's nothing you can do with that, unfortunately. If it had been the clipping thing, which is what I thought it was, then maybe he could have managed that. But if it was a crack in the chassis, there's not an awful lot you can do. So the question is, when did that happen in the race? Because you'd like, well, I was going to say you'd like to think Ferrari would have checked that before the race, but, Monaco, drive shaft, etc. So who knows? Who is your rookie of the season, says Korn. Right now it's Isack Hadjar, but as I said yesterday and a little bit earlier in the stream, actually, if he carries on as he is, Bortoletto is going to be in that conversation at the end of the year, and that might even need a video in December, to be honest. Lewis Hamilton, let's have a listen to what he's got to say. Then I'm going to wrap up for today because I've already gone over, so you know me, I can't stop talking. Blah, 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 blah. Asking about Verstappen, he just said, I don't remember it, to be honest. The incident with Verstappen. They're asking about the Eustace comment because, why not? He looks flat, doesn't he? Completely. Have we ever seen him like this, chat? Like, really like this? We've seen him disappointed. We've seen him angry. We've seen him a bit down, but he still loves the team, he says. So that answers that one, I suppose. But he looks... I think he looks worse than last year, Kaori. That sounds really harsh. Ugh. No, but you know what I mean? He just looks a lot flatter than even last year. I don't know. 2011... 2012 might be a shout, though. All those failures with McLaren could be a good shout, actually, though, CPB, if not 2011. They're just, I'll tell you what, watch this then. Anthony Davidson is just going to go through this on the SkyPad, then I'm going to end the stream because I need to get on, but I want to see what... Is the contact? I mean, if that's the only camera angle we've got, then It's not great. I mean, he's not alongside him. He's not got his front axle in front of his wing mirror, but it just feels like Lewis. I mean, Lewis has said in his interview there he doesn't even remember it. So, I don't know. If there's contact, it'll probably end up being a penalty, but I'm not really convinced there's much in that. I mean, they've got some onboards, thank God, but I don't know. I'm going to say something in a second which will annoy some people, but I should have watched these onboards through with Anthony Davidson. Yeah, the onboards are terrible. Yeah, that's not going to help anything. I don't care, is what I was going to say. That might annoy some people. Max Verstappen, 9th, and I don't know how far clear he was of Antonelli then, because Antonelli was a lap down. In fact, let me see if I can get the replay live timing. Let's have a look. The order's going to change, so apologies if you're just tuning in, but I'm just going to get to the end of the race here and just have a look at what the final gaps were. But yeah, I don't really care. Mainly because, and this isn't loading for me right now, so just bear with me a sec. Because Max Verstappen is 9th, Hamilton's 12th in the final result when this all catches up. If it catches up, I think it's just crashed on me, so we might have to leave it there. But yeah, my point was that even a penalty, what's Max going to lose? 1 or 2 points? Like, is he really that bothered? And Lewis Hamilton ended up 12th in the end, so do we really give a shit whether that's a penalty or not? I'm not sure I do. Maybe you will if you're a Hamilton fan, or if you're a Verstappen fan, you'll be annoyed if he gets one. I don't know, but I really don't care. In fact, I'm going to close that. That's how bothered I am. I'll try and get it to do it again just so I can see what the gap is, see what a penalty might do, just for the sake of debate, I suppose, or conversation, but end of the race, that's what I'm trying to get to. And yeah, it's all going to crash on me again, I think. But Verstappen was 17.2 clear of Antonelli, so even a 10-second penalty does absolutely nothing. So if he gets a 5-second penalty, he stays 9th. If he gets a 10-second penalty, he stays 9th. If they give him a 15-second penalty, he stays 9th. If they give him a 17.207-second penalty, he stays 9th. So no, I don't really care. Ham fan, no interest, says Clansom. It was dangerous driving by Max as usual. It wasn't dangerous driving, but okay. It wasn't a collision. Max is looking at most 2 penalty points, which will put him on 11. Kaori says, there you go. No, it's just point. It's almost, when there's, I know that you have to, as a steward, you have to take action. I am finishing your process. When you're a steward, you have to take action in these situations. But when the gap is so big, I mean, like, what's the point? Leclerc got a penalty as well, don't forget, and he finished 4th and stayed 4th. So, but yeah, 5-second penalty at Ocon, apparently, says Corn. Well, that's his race destroyed. He's gone from 16th to 18th, if that's the case. Let's go get that then quickly, so we have got a steward's decision in. Unless that was a joke. No, there was an Ocon investigation that got overturned. Ignore me. I get the joke now. That is the end of the weekend. Corn got me. There you go. There you go. And now I feel an arse. Right, let's end the stream there. Thank you, Corn. You actually made me go check then. It might turn up. I don't know, but maybe a grid penalty at Zandvoort, but usually it's a time penalty at the end is added, but we'll see what happens. But it's usually if a penalty isn't served in a race, but we'll see. Anyway, Corn's embarrassed me now, so I'm going to disappear. Oh, me. That is it for the streams this weekend then, and that is it for the streams until Zandvoort in a month's time, basically 4 weeks from now. I don't know why I had to explain that the last part, but I did. Thank you very much for joining me for this one. Been a lot of fun this weekend. I think it has been quite chill this weekend, and had a lot of fun as well. So enjoy your summer break. Don't forget though, the channel is still going to be active, so make sure you pop back and give it the support that it needs to keep growing. Thank you for your support. Actually, this season's been great to see, particularly the last month has been really, really strong. strong. So appreciate that support as always. So do come and check things out. Like I say, Thomas will be with you tomorrow between 2 and 4 p.m. UK time, depending on how quickly you get that done, with a wrap up from the paddock. Sam will have a couple of shorts out on Tuesday and Wednesday. Keep an eye out for Mercedes news as well, so that might shuffle the schedule. I'll be with you on Thursday with another video, and again on Saturday, and then I'll have videos out on Tuesday and Thursday on both weeks of the summer break. So lots to come over the next few weeks. So please do subscribe if you are new, and don't forget to drop a like before you go as well. That would be massively appreciated, because it really helps the channel in its never-ending battle with that bloody pesky YouTube algorithm. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.